Hello everybody, UFAH Live TV. We are back again with more awesome stuff here. We hope that all of you will help us and share our videos and participate in the chat. And topic today is lunar anomalies, theories and conspiracies. Did we land on the moon? Why is the flag moving in the wind? Are there other species or humans presence on the moon? Now we're gonna ask a lot of questions. We're gonna look at some anomalies also. This is gonna be awesome. Let me just check out who we have with us here today. We have Billy Carson with us. Hello Billy.
Hey, what's up? I'm here. Thanks guys.
And next to Billy we have Will Farrar with us. Hello.
Oh, what's going on everybody? Glad to be here.
Nice to have you here. And my buddy Chris from Mars Anomalies is with us also. Hello, Chris.
What's happening there, Thomas? Good to be aboard here. It's good to be with everybody.
And we have Dolly Indigo Star. Hello, Dolly.
Hello, good to be with you, and hi, everyone.
And we have Dominic Joyce with us also. Hello, Dominic.
Hello, good to be here.
Dominic has a little toothache today, so we all wish the best for Dominic and hope he will be able to talk. And there is another guy here also. It's a weird Danish guy and he is talking right now. That's me. I'm Thomas Mikey. I'm your host today on UFAH Live Lunar Anomalies. And some of the first things we are going to look at is the moving flag. I'm just going to set up the video here, start the video. And what we see is from Apollo 11, if I remember correct. I do sometimes remember wrong. And the question is, why is the flag moving on the video from Apollo 11? Does anybody of you out there have an idea of why? And the UFAH members are free to speak now. Speak, my friends.
All right.
Billy, what do you think?
Okay, I'll talk first about this, guys. Let me let these people know on Instagram. You got to go to the Facebook page to hear it live. You can't hear it from here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off now. I'd like to comment a little bit on this because one of the and this is only a theory, okay? This is only a theory. But I think it's very important for this is Billy Carson speaking, by the way. I think it's very important for people to understand that there's two scenarios here. One scenario is we did go to the moon, and the second scenario is we lied about it. Okay, so once you understand that we went, but we lied about it, everything starts to become a lot more clear. I think that they knew it was up there. We've had satellites orbiting this moon for decades before we even got there, and we knew it was up there. And one of the missions, I think, was to go there and actually find or bring back some remnants of this ancient culture. Now, so with that being said, it's very possible that some parts of the moon landing were staged events. In other words, Hollywood type style, to where the general population would never get to see what was really up there. I do believe that. Now, as far as the flag blowing, there's a couple of things, and again, these are just theories. We're all just kind of tossing things around here. One that I have is the possibility of a very light atmosphere on the moon. And another one is the actual fact that we have a liftoff from one of the, I guess it's the limb, that could have blown or made it move as well. But if you look at a couple of other different scenes on the moon, it looked like the flag just was kind of blowing. And the moon itself has water, which means it has a water cycle, because the water is actually liquid, then it freezes. It's liquid and it freezes, which means there's a cycle. And anytime you have a water cycle, you have a very small atmosphere. Not a strong atmosphere, but a very small, close to the surface atmosphere. And so it's very possible that there is, and again, possible, not for sure, but possible that there is a slight breeze on the moon when you have a water cycle. And admittedly, by not only NASA, but all the other space agencies, there is liquid water, and there's actually a slight atmosphere on the moon itself, because even though it has less gravity, it has the ability to retain some atmospheric gases. So that's one thing. Another thing would be the liftoff of or the removal, or the the arm that brings down one of the devices from the inside of the limb, causing debris to move, causing sand to blow up against the flag. I don't know, but I do know. And the other option is that it was done inside of the theater. But either way, the fact that we went to the moon is really not the question. It's what could be blowing this flag? What could be making this flag blow? Could it be a staged Hollywood event? Could it be a slight atmosphere on the surface of the moon? Could it be something from the actual landing craft itself expelling some type of gases, or moving an arm on the outside that caused some of the dust to blow up against it? Because remember, as you can see by the astronauts' feet as they move around, the dust does kick up. Which one is it? I don't know. But I'm just throwing out plausible ideas that it could possibly be. But, those are just some of the things that I take into account when I think about the flag blowing. I think there are just several different options that it might be.
And this is Will Farrar from What's Up in the Sky 37, whatsupinthesky.com. I've seen this over and over and over, and I remember some of the astronauts talking about how these things were pretty much folded up like almost like a real hard type piece of paper. So I don't know how much fluid it had to it that would make it actually have some wind behind it. But if I were in a studio and going all this way to actually work on, I would make sure nobody was blowing any wind. They didn't have the wind machine going. But it's very possible that these they were made fake by many different, not fake, but made for reasons, just the political times during then with the Soviet Union and just the whole space race, that we were going to get there whether we got there or not. And I think some of the footage is absolutely real. There's so many pictures up there we've gone through, and you can go through the LROC, which is a newer base up, our newer telescope taking pictures up there. You can look at Clementine mission photographs. You can look at some of the Apollo ones and put them all together. So Apollo came first. So unless they were taking some of the Gemini, I think Gemini made it up there, and taking some of those pictures from unmanned flights. They've nailed where the craters are and stuff like that. So I think it would take a lot to do, but if I was going to be taping it, I don't think I'd be throwing wind at it. Somebody would be in trouble from casting or from the props department.
That's a good theory, really good one. There are a lot of conspiracy theories about it. How about you, Chris? What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, this is Chris from the Mars Anomalies channel. This is what I think is really going on. I believe that the photos are real. I also believe that flag is not being caused by wind or of any sort. I believe because if you analyze the thing, the way they say this thing is made, obviously it's got its own flag post, but it also has a steel rod sticking out of the top. And every time they sway the thing back and forth, picture just an L, because you get the actual flag post and you got like a piece of steel sticking out of that. So every time they wave it back and forth, you always see the bottom spinning or flapping back and forth. You don't see the top. But the thing is, the question to me is, was this actually staged? In other words, were they doing something else other than sampling rocks, taking lunar rocks, so on and so forth? Was this just like basically, just to kind of fool the public? That's what we were up there, just to look for just simple rocks and, digging a little bit here and there. Or was there a lot more to the reason why they were up there? And I say yes. I believe that they were.
Dolly, Indigo, Star, do you have a theory of what's going on the moon and why is the flag moving?
Well, yeah, I think that there's possibly could be some kind of wind or something up there. Why not? Why can't there be? Because there's dust moving and things. And I really do think that these images are very real. And I don't think that they've been faked, but I do think that some of the pictures after were manipulated and played with. And that's the thing, we're never going to know, are we? We can only surmise what we think and our opinions, but it looks like there's wind blowing it. So there's things that we're not being told that are possibly going on up there. And You know, is there an atmosphere up there?
That's the question. Dominic, Joyce,
Yep.
if your toothache allows you to speak, we would like to hear what your thoughts on it is.
Yeah, I mean, my thought, and if you watch it, you can see, you know, if you're, there's a small atmosphere. It's very, as Billy said, it's very close to the ground. There's water, vapor, stuff like that. That's you know, has some sort of environment, obviously with water melting and stuff like that. But when you see the flag move, when you're in a vacuum, it's going to stay where it is. So the rod's moving left to right, and the flag's like, what are you making me do? And I have to stay put because, you know, there's no atmosphere. So, you know, a lot of people don't see that. You know, it's quite easy to see if you open your eyes.
Indeed.
Well, every time he moves his twist his wrist, if you look at that, I was just watching it on the feed here.
Yeah.
He's twisting his wrist, putting a lot of tension on that bracket. Like Chris, I totally forgot that it was like a T, like it's like an L, big L basically, with the top up in the top of the, you know, where the stars are, and going out towards the stripe, or going out towards the the stripes. And he's moving that thing pretty good when the wind part comes up. And look, he's got to set it down. And every action has a reverse action, something, you know. So every time he yanks, it'll pull back a little bit, and then it has to settle itself a little bit. I think the Mythbusters had done this. I saw you guys talking in the UFO group earlier.
Let me just put the Mythbusters video up here in the background while you speak. Go on. We have Mythbusters going here in the background now. Speak to us again, Will.
Is that the one? Yeah, because like I said, you can see that there, especially when he comes back here, and he's still turning it. You know, and every time you make that turn, and he was twisting it back and forth. You guys can't see me. I'm so used to making videos on YouTube. I'm sitting here, I'm showing the camera, and you guys, nobody can see what I'm doing. They're watching that. But yeah, I mean, that's what I think that was. There's been so much conspiracy around Apollo. It's one of those missions that I don't think that anybody understood. People remember seeing it when it was on the radio. You know, people when they listened to it on the radio, the landing. So it's one of those things that I don't think we'll ever know. But we got some amazing photographs, especially aerial photography. I mean, great stuff on the ground. You were talking about water earlier. There's a couple liquid shots that look like solid liquid, like mercury type stuff on these rocks. So. We definitely need to get back there. I love hearing people talk about going back there, and that's what's happening now in the news. Various private organizations, and maybe even some of the space agencies will be helping get us started on our way out to Mars. Or
and Billy just touched one of the topics before that we're going to go into here also. There's someone present on the moon, and was the moon landing faked in the studios here? What do you think, Chris? Let's take you. Were the moon landing faked in a studio and made by Stanley Kubrick?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of people want to, say that it's faked. I'm not so sure about that. Maybe some scenes were, just to try to, again, fool the public. I think a lot of these are real because I think it was Will that said this, and I think everybody else said the same thing and agreed, is that there's a lot of things on the surface of the lunar surface that are actually, that just stand out. I mean, they don't look like just natural rock. And I think that they're up there for a whole different reason. I think they're up there for other activities, if you will. And I have to agree. I mean, as far as anything going on the moon, I mean, they still say there's still a little volcanic activity going on the moon. They still, Billy touched on earlier, saying that there is actually water on Mars. I mean, I'm thinking Mars now. See, you got me saying that earlier there, Will. Because Will saying this
doing it all night.
Videos. Mars. But anyway, but there's actually a little bit of water on the moon. So it wouldn't surprise me if we had a little bit of a breeze, if you will, on the moon itself. But I don't know. I believe these are actually real photos. Now, have some of them been faked? Maybe. But I think it's because it's a whole different reason. I think they're giving the public these, look at us, we landed on the moon. Here's our moon rock, so on and so forth. But I don't think, I think there's more to it than that. I think they were there for a whole different reason.
Yes.
Yes. else want to speak about?
Well, I wanted to add a little bit to what I was saying earlier. Chris, I think, is pretty much spot on. This is Billy Carson speaking here from Forbidden Knowledge. There's a video that a lot of people have been deceived by, circulating on YouTube for many years, of Kubrick talking to an interviewer saying that he was involved in faking the moon landing. Here is the biggest thing that people have not, because people will watch something and take it for what it is, as if it's real, without researching it. The guy that's speaking there, number one, is not even Kubrick. That's number one. And I found the second part of that same interview where the guy who was talking to him was being extremely aggressive, evil, and cursing at the guy who was cursing at the old man, whoever he was, and telling him what to say and what not to say. And the guy almost broke into tears. The same guy who was saying it, so I was part of the Hollywood show. I got to find this video, Thomas. I'm going to make it my priority to find this tonight and get it to you so you can put it up on MarsMoonSpace.com, because everybody needs to know that they've been lied to, they've been deceived, they've been watching a video that has circulated to millions of people on YouTube that's not even the real person. And on top of that, the second part of the video, which has been clipped and cut and edited out, which I found, is the part where he's literally being tortured into saying these things. And it's
I saw the same video.
You saw that too, right? Chris?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's the one we got to put up to let these people know that they have been hoodwinked, man. They've been lied to. You've been cheated out of learning more about what's really going on in space by these propaganda videos that have been put out, most likely by paid propaganda agents, and you've been fooled and deceived.
I never really thought there was them.
Yeah,
Billy,
exactly.
I never really thought there were paid propaganda agents until I started my YouTube channel.
There you go.
And I finally got like maybe half of when I first started. When I first got my million hits, they came flooding in left and right. And the whole channel. That's one thing about YouTube. We got, like I said, even I have to check myself many times and make sure I always put that statement up in front. Say, I see what I see, you see what you see. This is speculation. A lot of what we do when we're looking at things, because people can easily use it as manipulation. There's so many people out there that think so many crazy things because they saw a well-edited video. Well, well-edited video can be done by a 2 or 3, 4-year-old now on their iPad, or their parents' iPad. So we definitely need to be careful with that. Well said, man.
Well, here's another thing I want to add to, and this is important to everybody who's listening. I've actually had people come up to me or ask me, hey, if these are so real, let me ask you a question. How do they get the lunar buggy up there? And a lot of people don't know the answer to that, believe it or not. They go, how is it possible? This thing was so small, meaning the capsule, and the lander and everything else when they get out. How do they get this lunar buggy up there? Well, there's a 45-minute video. I think it's 45, 47 minutes. And just put on there lunar buggy. How was the lunar buggy brought to the moon or something like that? Just Google it or whatever. They literally folded this thing up. In fact,
they did.
They had so many different. What they do is they put this proposal out. They had a group of people, and they said, "Okay, we need a buggy that we can fold up literally, like a lounge chair, like a beach chair. We need to have this." It was a 12-volt battery, 4 servo motors, simplicity. It basically had like 2 beach chairs on this thing. It was so light, but they could literally fold it up and put it right on the side of the capsule. It was literally, so when they landed with the thing, they just literally opened up a door and the thing that actually sprung out, and it would take them like literally 5 minutes to assemble a thing. And you can see it right there. You'll see it coming up on your screen where it showed and it just literally comes out. I mean, the wheels literally they fold into the chassis, and then when they take it out, they literally spring outward and go straight normal like they're supposed to once it's on the ground. So
they still have that at the Air and Space Museum. They still have that where you can see all that. Yep. You can go down there and check it out. In fact, the Kennedy
Plaza, the Kennedy Center down in Florida, where I took my family down. They had they had both of them. They had one I think was supposed to be like maybe it was one of the first models that came out, but then they had the real one. And you can see how cheaply or lightly made this thing was made. It wasn't supposed to be heavy duty. It was only supposed to get these guys around, and then that's the end of it. But it's because people are ignorant, and I'm not trying to be facetious about that. I'm just saying that people just simply don't know. And if they just sat back and said, you know what, let me do the homework. Let me ask the question. Just go to Google. Google is your friend, and you'll find this out.
I know I've been ignorant when it comes to this stuff before, just learning and going through and researching, and I've taken down videos and I've debunked my own videos and stuff like that, just because you find the hole keeps getting deeper and deeper, and the truth gets muddled up when you've got so many people making flat Earth videos. You know, I'm sure we'll get a comment here in 2 seconds if somebody had that. You know, it's like, go back to that paid shill thing, and I never really thought that was the truth until the YouTube. And
oh man, they're out there, man. They attack me with a vengeance, man.
That means you're doing something right. So.
Absolutely, you got that right.
Absolutely.
Where are you taking us, Thomas? Let's get the train rolling.
We are looking at an Apollo 17 video where they actually dug up some orange soil, and they're speaking about it. I know, Dominic, you knew what that orange soil was. You wrote it earlier in the comment box here on our little private chat here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the orange soil?
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's little orange glass spears and fragments. You know, that it appears like it's underneath the regolith. That's the top layer on the moon. It gets blasted by radiation and stuff like this. But chemical, analysis has shown that it's mostly I think it's zinc, or is it I've forgotten what it is now. So you just put me on the spot there. Yeah, it is zinc. Yeah, it's mostly zinc, and it's rich in titanium with 8%, and it's got iron oxide of 22%. So it's quite a valuable commodity to mine, like helium-3 as well. And a lot of people were shocked when they saw it on the Apollo 17 movie, because the guy was shocked. He's like, "Hey, what's this?" And then the other guy goes, "We haven't got time to get a sample of that, really. We've got to go." And I don't know if you guys have seen that video, but it shocked me. I just thought they've only just found this orange, mud or soil on the moon, and then they're like, "We've got to go right now to rendezvous." And I haven't researched beyond that. I don't know who else has, and I just find it interesting, guys.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, you're pretty spot on. There's a lot of iron ore on the moon, and oxygen oxidizes the ore, and when you get oxidation, that's when you get the orangey type tinted colors. And the fact that they've discovered now, and it's been proven by more than one source, that there's actual water on the moon, this is not even a secret anymore, even though the general population, because they don't listen or tune into these, to the things that we're listening to in the places that we're researching, and they're not listening to live broadcasts from NASA and the European Space Agency, or reading articles on Scientific American on a daily basis. They don't know that this is true now, because their old history books back in school, when I was in school, didn't say anything about it. But now, guys, listen, there's water on the moon. This is a known fact. Yeah. Now, water is made of what? Oxygen and hydrogen. Yep. Okay? So you take oxygen, and now you interact oxygen with iron and iron ore, and now you're going to get oxidized regolith. You're going to get colors that are going to be kind of orangey tintish right underneath the top layer of soil. And that's where you're going to find this on the moon. You're going to find a lot of these colors on the moon coming from this type of oxidation as oxygen interacts with these minerals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm just going to interrupt here because I need to say that we should have had our own lunar expert, Brad Collins-Shepard, with us today. But for some reason, for some mysterious, unknown reason, we don't know where Brad is. So, Brad, if you're listening out there, just join in. And the same to Neville Thompson, that should have been on here. And we actually had some pictures that they wanted to present and talk about from the moon. So we're going to save some of the pictures till they get on, if we can get them on here. And I am looking at the chat, and the chat is going very well here. Please continue. I'm going to say hi to Maria, our true follower, and Dave Coleman is with us also. And we have a lot of other people writing in the chat. If anybody of you have some questions you want to direct to any one of us, please use the chat for it. It's for free, ta-da! And this is the only chance today you will get. So, guys, let's move on. Before we're gonna talk about other beings' presence on the moon or hollow moon, let's just take a look at some of the pictures from the moon. Let's have a little break in the conspiracies here, and let's look. I was looking just today on some from the Lunar Orbiter Mission 5 when I saw this one in the middle. There is this odd object. I don't know, it looks like two triangular walls standing in front of each other. Let me see, I have one here where it's zoomed in a little bit closer. Does anyone of you guys, UFA guys, have any idea of what we are looking at? Because I don't.
This is bizarre, yeah.
Yeah.
And what is the size of this image from left to right?
I would so much wish that Neville would have been here, because he would probably have known that. I must admit, I don't know, but this is an orbiter image, and I would estimate the area here we're looking at here to be between 400 and 500 meters from left to right.
Okay, because I mean, to me, just from what I've seen on some of the data that we've collected from other planets like Mars, this almost looks like a rundown or ancient structures here. You know, just I see some structure or some of these objects appear to be perpendicular, like they're sticking up. They don't look like they're all laying down, and some of them have 90-degree angles that almost appear to be entrances. You know, or I don't know. This just looks really odd here. I mean, this is really, really odd. It doesn't look like just a standard layout or lay of the land on the moon. It really looks like there's some structure to some of these, and some seem to be standing perpendicular to the ground, which is really bizarre.
Indeed, to me it looks like it was some kind of the two walls I'm talking about that has a triangular shape could be the two ending walls in each end of the construction, and we only need the two sides to lay up on each side, and that's what it looks like to me without knowing what it actually is.
Yeah, and they almost look like the same shape.
Yeah, it looks identical as a part of a construction or something, but it would have been a huge construction if
huge.
It was really huge.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure about the size. As I said before, I was just guessing from an estimating for some of the other lunar images that I have been looking at, but I can't be sure on that.
Yeah, a lot of the lunar images taken from this the orbiter, you know, it's a good distance away, and if you can make out structures, typically, if you can make structures from this, from the orbiter, you're probably looking at, in most cases, you're looking at something pretty big. It's not like a rover on the ground right next to something a couple of meters away. We're talking about, you know.
I don't even think you could see the rover here if there was one.
No.
No, that's what I'm saying. This is a pretty big area.
What do you think, Will Ferrari? I know you made a lot of videos also.
I know the LROC is one of the except for Clementine, is one of the best imaging that we have of the moon, because we have so many different rotations, so many times different ones went up there. It's a heck of a website. People want to go afterwards, check out the LROC. You can almost find something instantly in the images, and they're kind of big downloads. They're almost like the I don't want to go back to Mars, but they're almost like the newer stuff up there that's coming back. I mean, these things were taken at a pretty amazing scales. I think they got 3 cameras on that thing, and it was what is it? It's a 0.5 meter scale. I think that's what it is. So 5 kilometer swath across, and it's 100 meters per pixel. So you could see pretty small. You know, you're not going to see like our rover or something like that. But they did. I think they were LROC pictures that they put out claiming that they found it. So it definitely, it's definitely one of the best we have, and you can find all sorts of stuff with it. So I mean, I know I've probably put out about 20, 25 videos just from, when I was doing all the old stuff, like back what Hoagland was doing, and Brett stuff, and other guys are, who was the other guy? The guy, we got Brett, and then who was the other guy that was our, Ken stuff. He had his archive. Ken Johnson.
Ken Johnson.
I'm just sitting right here now and chatting with Ken, actually, because I hope that we would be able to get him on here later. But I'm still waiting for a reply. He just sent me some of his images and link, as he does a few times every week, which is wonderful. I don't even think he's aware of that we're live now, but he has just found out now. So let's see what Ken is saying in just a minute. Back to you, Will. Sorry that I interrupted you.
No, you didn't. What's cool about Ken's stuff is that there are other images out there you can see where the two images are different. You can see the stuff that's it's been, the old pictures, they weren't photoshopped like we get to, like I guess they do today. They just blur it out a little bit or don't put it out in general. Or who even knows? The computer could be moving them out on the zone up there up there from the rover or from the high rise. So these LROC pictures are amazing. I'd recommend everybody definitely check them out if you get a chance.
Yeah,
and Ken's too. If you can see Ken's archives, and I know Ken's, I think that's linked up on Mars Moon Space, or isn't it? The Ken Johnson stuff. I saw it yesterday on one of the links. If you go into UFA stuff, you'll find a link to his stuff, and it's pretty cool. Yeah,
Ken just replied here, and he has a throat infection. He got it in India, so he can't be on here. But I think he would love to be on next time. So we are having Ken on here live. Ken Johnston, former private astronaut training. I even forgot the title here. Sorry. Ken Johnston, that was the NASA whistleblower, will be on with us another time here live with the UFAH guys, talking about the moon and probably also some of the conspiracies and theories regarding the moon.
So many people are sick right now. I hope everybody out there sick is healing and taking in the light, because I've not heard of these type of there's so many just sick people here I know it's on the East Coast, it's going up and down here, so I'm staying away from it. But anybody out there, get better.
Avoid the people that have it, like the plague. No pun intended.
Yeah. Who knows what's coming back around, so.
Yeah, it's nasty, yeah.
Let's get back to conspiracy and theories. We have the conspiracy or theory about hollow moon. Does anybody of you have any knowledge you want to share about that?
I've got a little bit on that. I can start the ball rolling and start the moon rolling.
Please, yes.
NASA they left some sort of recording device. So you guys probably know more on this than me. And they planted. They fired something at the moon, and it rang for like a couple of hours. Is that right?
Yes, 5 hours.
Yeah. And so some people are using that as evidence to say, it's a hollow, moon, and there's, people living in there or whatever. People, there's a lot of conspiracy theories. Theories about it, and it's interesting for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
The hollow Earth, it really ties into the Anunnaki. I mean, and maybe even prior to them. One thing that people have been taught in school about the Earth, including myself, was that there was an impact to what we are living on now as we know the Earth, and then that impact then broke off a chunk, and it reformulated as the moon, and that became our moon. But science has already proven that the moon doesn't share the same geology as the Earth. So they've already discovered and figured out that they contradict themselves. So in some school books it says that the moon has no relation to the Earth, and then in some school books it says that the moon came from the Earth. Which one is which? These are two concurrent books going at the same time, confusing students. But when you go into the ancient text, the story is a lot more plausible, because in the ancient text, in the Enuma Elish and the Atrahasis epic, you can discover that there was another planet out there named Tiamat, or Marduk. It had a couple different names. And this planet was about 4 times larger than Earth. And it was a rock-bearing water world. Matter of fact, it had so much water on it when the sun reflected off of it. It was said that the shine was almost rumored to actually compete against our own sun. That's how beautiful this world was. And in these texts, it talks about this planet being destroyed or exploded. And when it exploded, there's 2 versions. One version, depending on which, when you're reading, it was a war, and in another version, it's an actual captured rogue planet that came through our solar system in ancient times and smashed into it, causing it to break apart. There's a couple different stories. I mean, it's a lot deeper than that I can go, but that takes too long. So basically, this planet exploded. This is now what the asteroid belt is. Okay, the asteroid belt, you have Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, and then the asteroid belt. The asteroid belt was a planet. Now, a big chunk of that planet, when it exploded, swooped down into the area we are in now and became the Earth. And along with it, it tugged gravitationally the moon that we have right now, which was already a moon orbiting this Tiamat planet, or this Marduk planet. It came along with us for the ride, or they sent it along with us for the ride after the Earth started reformulating, because anybody who studies geology knows that without the moon, this planet is not stable. There's no stable weather patterns. There's nothing. And if you want to go find another planet, if you want to, create, or what do you call it when you actually if you want to terraform a planet to live on, you got to stabilize it. So one of the theories is that this actual moon, when it was orbiting Tiamat, was already an artificial structure, and it's most likely possibly hollow. And some of the videos for Chris, I'm sure he'll talk about in a minute, have proved that there's structures underneath the surface, which is based on radar that we have. And they put this moon in a geosynchronous orbit, which when you look throughout the solar system, you don't see that many geosynchronous orbits. So who put this in a specific orbit to where only one side faces the Earth? There is really no dark side of the moon. It's just a side that we can't see because of the way it rotates on its axis. But the moon sees light and darkness just like we see light and darkness on this planet. And it's rumored that there's actual life in there. One of the Apollo mission black box tapes, which myself and Thomas have downloaded and actually provided in some of our groups, which is through the Freedom of Information Act, is publicly available. It's specifically, you can hear one of the astronauts and read it because it's also typed, where the astronaut's passing over, the orbiter is passing over what they call a
conical shaped.
A conical shaped, but what's the actual word? Impact. What do you call those things again? I'm sorry.
Conical shaped.
Crater.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're calling craters up there. A lot of these things are not real craters. And he says, look at the craters, the conical ones. So he's right there hinting to the fact that this is obviously an artificial structure. And then he says, the people down there, I bet they never get out. This is on the black box, okay? And this is actually public record. You can download it. Some of the words, some of the more crazier stuff that they talked about has been blacked out and marked off with black marker. But the fact that they would make a statement like that is absolutely amazing. And that lets you know that there's something inside of these craters. These craters, some of them, not all of them, but some of them may have structures underneath them deep into the moon's surface.
That was a conversation between Michael Collins and Buzz Aldrin.
Yes, correct. Yeah, so it's amazing stuff, guys. You got to really do a lot of research and dig into this. It's a lot more than just photoshopped in Hollywood. There's a lot more going on that they don't want you to know about.
But these conical ones, the conical shaped ones, the white ones, as they also said, could that be the entrances to a hollow moon if a hollow moon actually exists?
I believe so. I believe that. What I believe is it's dome structures that are covering up what's below the surface, and then they use some type of a camouflage, just like we can have an LED screen on our window and make it look like we're in the Sahara Desert if we want to, right here on Earth. to keep the surface looking as natural as possible, for defense. I mean, you don't want people knowing you're there. You don't want people knowing you're there. But I do believe that some of these are entrances into the moon itself.
We have a picture up here. It's from the Seaman crater, and this is it's been going viral. So much wish that Brett would have been here, because he was the one who wanted to talk about this. But that is described as a 5-mile wide entrance.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you all about that one. That is actually okay. If this is from the Clementine map, which was put together by the actual, I think it's the Navy actually did this, if I remember, because the Navy, supposedly some of the best footage. I've talked to Jose Escamilla a couple times where he told me, man, that this footage, I've seen some of it. It is so sharp. Well, this was an area by the Zeeman crater. And if you look at other footage, it looks just like the corner of a crater right there. And a lot of people say that this was the film itself stretched in it. And this to me is about as perfect as you can get of anomaly, and where you don't see stretching around the whole piece. I mean, I when I heard that, I was like, man, come on, stretching in the middle of the curves, it's actually curved at the end. Like it's where the black part is, where it looks like you'd enter with like a some sort of craft or something. And this is just on that Clementine moon map. You can't get that picture anywhere other than that. And I like there's a whole bunch of questions going on there. One guy asked, how did they film them leaving, the astronauts leaving Earth? Well, it was only filmed one time. They tried to do it 3 times, the 15th, 16th, and 17th. They finally got it done on the 17th. They tried it both times. What happens is the camera that was left on the LEM, which also has a radio, which was pointed back up towards the craft that was going around the circle and being sent back down to Earth. That's how they got it. Basically, there's a camera on the wing, and they would set it to get shot off, and they finally got it to work perfect. And I'm going to go ahead and put down for everybody coming here and watching this stuff on Facebook, we put comments down. I'm going to put the link to the actual old school PDF design of it, where you can see RCA made this. It's just a little, a lot of people always say, well, who was there to actually send that back? There's no way they could have done it. This is how it's done. It just takes a little bit of research. It took me like 10 minutes one day to do it. And I saw that question come up, and I think it was Dom or something like that, Dominic or something like that. I forget who it was, but Devon, who filmed Leaving the Moon, and that's how it was. They got it done. Yeah, and how they got to the Van Allen belts. These guys were like, we went for like our athletes, our people that were space. Our astronauts weren't actors and stuff like that. These guys flew planes, like high, the best stuff at the time. These were fighter pilots that were always testing aircraft. Death was, this is what they were going up. The first 3 people died. What was it? I think the Apollo 1, Ed White, Gus Grissom, and Roger. Chapman died before it even took off, because of fire. And we learned, but they didn't. I mean, this was people that put their life on the line. Like they talk about the Van Allen belts. I don't think they really cared how much radiation they got, and what was enough to, get sick or not. Everybody's a little bit different. Everybody has a different body, different makeup. Yeah. So, but
with the Van Allen. Not to interrupt you real quick, but I just wanted to say something while you mentioned the Van Allen belts real quick and give it back to you. This is Billy Carson again from Forbidden Knowledge. Okay, something that a lot of people don't know about the Van Allen radiation belt. Van Allen himself was the one that, through his scientific studies through a low Earth orbit satellite, discovered that there was this radiation belt above the Earth. Okay, that is true. That's a fact. Now, he brought this information to NASA that he was concerned that it was going to be hard to pass through, and he published his paper about it and everything else. NASA was never concerned about the Van Allen radiation belt to the point where they thought it would affect the mission. What happened was they said, okay, you've gotten this now to the point where we're at the point now, where we're getting ready to actually send a human being up there. So they sent another probe. They tested. They said, okay, there is a lot of radiation up there. Let's try this. So they actually sent up a nuke and blew it up in the atmosphere, believe it or not.
Yes, they did. They absolutely
dissipated.
did.
But it added more nuclear radiation to the belt.
Yeah.
So that was a fail.
Some of the worst things happened in those years here on Earth.
Oh,
So
my
things that
God.
are probably affecting our weather to this day,
Oh,
affecting so many reasons they're trying to fix stuff that they think they can at this point. Is when I say
Right.
they, I talk about the powers to be.
Sure.
You know,
Exactly.
but that's
So
how
they
that
blew
was
it-
done with that. And that Zeeman crater, that was one I did I did a video on. I love that thing, and you can only find that picture on that map. So if you want to look for it, I have a link on whatsupinthesky.com somewhere. If you feel up to it, just search Zeeman crater.
But
Yeah, put that up there.
back to the hollow moon theory and conspiracy. Dolly, are you still with us?
I'm still with you.
You
yes.
have been so silent. I think you are saving up the words.
No, I'm absolutely fascinated to listen to all the different theories and stories, and I can absolutely agree with Billy Carson that the moon has definitely possible life on there, and there is possibly something going on underground, and the openings and the pictures that you've got there is, to me, undeniable evidence that there are huge things taking place on the moon that is being covered up, that we are not being told about.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
Yes. Real quick, Thomas, I
Yeah.
want to interrupt you real quick, but I wanted to finish up my thought on the radiation belt, because I think this is one of the biggest things that I see people using as their excuse for why
Yes.
nothing
And
ever
af-
left orbit.
And Billy,
Okay.
after you're done, I want to add to that real quick.
Yeah, no problem. Definitely, Chris. Please do, because this is really, really important stuff here.
Yes.
People need to understand this. So once we launched the rocket, like I said, Van Allen came up with it. He wrote a document. We sent the bomb up there. We blew it up. We added more radiation to the belt. NASA then did another scan with their probe and discovered that there were, because of the magnetic fields of Earth, there were pathways through the belt, because the magnetic lines of around the Earth would whip through it and create these pathways. In other words,
Yes.
shortcuts or areas where there was a lot less radiation.
Yep.
Also, through that
Absolutely.
testing, they also discovered that the radiation in the thickest parts was still not enough to kill a man unless he stood in that exact location, stationary for 3 to 4 months. So,
Yep.
and the trip through the belt was a little bit less than a day. Okay, the trip to the moon is 3 days. The trip through the belt was a little bit less than a day. So if they discovered that by going along these magnetic lines, which opened up pathways through the belt, so they didn't take a direct route to the moon. They actually had a course. And through this course, they were able to get through the belt. And the fact that they were going to be in the belt for only less than a day and not 4 months in a stationary position in the heaviest part of the belt, it wouldn't give a fatal dose of radiation to a human being. And that's what made it a go mission. So, I just want to say that. But there you go. What's up, Chris?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct. I mean, the funny thing about it is a lot of people don't know there's actually 3 Van Allen belts at times, and it's caused by the sun. The third one is
Yes.
caused by the sun. Now, what happens is, and like Billy said, and I totally agree, there are thinner parts to these Van Allen belts. One, they're thinner, so it makes a pathway. But 2, they're not sitting in it. They're literally traveling through this at X amount of speed, so they're not really being dosed with these things. But you have a third Van Allen belt that comes and goes with the sun. So people have to really start, researching this stuff, and they're going to find out that it's very possible to go through the Van Allen belts if you use your head correctly and do some research. You'll find this out. But I totally agree with you, Billy. I mean, they actually have what was that? I'm drawing a blank on this for some reason. That antenna array that they were saying that was controlling the weather.
HARP.
HARP.
Yeah.
Now, I've also read
I know
about
my
HARP.
conspiracies.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing, though. Now, when you look up HARP, which is basically a bunch of beam antennas, when you look up, they shoot radio waves into the atmosphere, and they can also dissipate the Van Allen belt through this. So that's what people need to understand. They can easily manipulate the weather, heat up the atmosphere, as well as blow a hole. Because remember, like you said, they used like a nuclear bomb. They said, well, this ain't working for us.
Yeah.
So they can use radio waves to dissipate the molecules that make up these Van Allen belts. So it's very possible.
Absolutely.
I actually agree there with the energies of the moon. And as a race, we are very connected to the moon itself. From the beginning of human history, the moon plays a really huge, significant part in humanity, and it affects us all. And the lunar and the earth and the connection with our bodies and the tides and the connection with us being water and water presence on the moon. It really does play a huge significance with our lives, and that's our fascination with the moon. That was the fascination with wanting to go there in the first place and discover things about that moon. It's a satellite, and we're natural satellites as well. We're Wi-Fi, so we're going to naturally connect to it. So the moon gives off such amazing energies, and we have such historic tales and mythologies of moon goddesses, and there's huge connections wherever we look at the moon. There's a connection with human history and the moon.
Indeed there is. Chris, I know you, to get back to the hollow earth, I was about to say hollow moon theory, I know you had something you wanted to share on your screen with us.
Yeah, I mean, did Dominic want to add anything to that before I do that?
Oh, yeah.
No, I was pretty much, just introducing it, about the ringing of the moon, and I haven't researched a lot about it, but a lot of people, think that there are people from, from our past, that from Planet X, Nibiru, that keep an eye on this. They're called the Watchers, and they're still here. And there's only a few of them, left. And that's as far as my research goes on it, really.
There's huge connections. Huge connections.
Sorry to interrupt you. Someone is sitting with a
there's a mic crack
of chips or something. I think it's Dominic, because you are constantly blue here on Skype. So Dominic, when you're not speaking, please turn off your microphones.
Yep, no worries.
Yes. Sorry, back to Will.
Well, what's that? I've lost my train of thought. Hey, can I send you another picture to use at some point? I just thought of something I want everybody to see. I'll send it to your Facebook page.
Yeah, send it to me in Messenger here.
Or I could put it up on my screen when I share after Chris does later if you get a chance. So,
Chris,
sorry for taking that up.
Are you ready to share your screen, Chris?
Yeah. Let's see how this works out here.
I will switch over as soon as I can see you are taking control. Though I don't like it.
All right. I'm ready when you are.
Yes,
let me know when you are.
I see something is happening. I am going to switch over to Chris now. The screen is yours.
All right. You usually got to wait a couple of seconds before at least Skype till it clears up a little bit. So I found this article, I think this was a couple of years ago, because I had done a video about this radar image that they took of the moon. Now, this is Mare Serenitatis, or Taurus, depending on how you want to pronounce it, or the Sea of Serenity. And just at the 3 o'clock area, you can see right here, it's about 3 o'clock, you can see the other crater, Poseidonis, I think is the correct way to pronounce it. What I found interesting was this here. We're just going to look at this. This is from space.com. This is what they did. 2 huge radio telescopes had given scientists a rare look beneath the surface of the moon. Now, signals were beamed from the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico, the world's largest radio dish, and then, of course, it tells you the size. Then it was bounced back and were detected by the Green Bank Telescope here in West Virginia, because I live here in West Virginia myself, and this is in the west, or the eastern part, rather, of West Virginia. The planet's biggest fully steerable radio telescope at 330 feet or 100 meters wide. Now, what's funny about this, it says, if you jump down, it says, to study many solar system objects from asteroids to other planets. So don't think for a minute they haven't seen what's below Mars, the moon, so on and so forth. So it'll give you an idea why they're spending millions upon millions to get to these places. Okay. Now, if you look right here, new radar observations allow scientists to peer 35 to 50 feet or 10 to 15 meters beneath the Sea of Serenity. Now check that out, which is near the site where NASA's final manned lunar effort, the Apollo 17 mission touched down in December 1972. Imagine that. Well, let's have a look at that, because I think it's funny when you actually have a look at this. you've got, let's jump into this one right here. Now, when you look at this, I just went, whoa, hold on a minute. This is bizarre. I see what, in my eyes, I see what looks like a city. Now, again, this is 33 to 50 feet below the surface, okay? Now, when you actually, well, we can jump ahead this way. Doesn't really matter. Okay? Just put the yellow and blue filter on there. But, I don't know if it was you, Thomas, or Billy, where you said a lot of these, if you look right here, you've got these what look like craters, but when you look through radar, you don't see them as that way. They look like it would be some kind of entranceway to go underground. This is the reason why a lot of people stated, well, I can see video. I've seen videos, or I took my own telescope and I looked at the moon and I seen what looked like a UFO come out of this crater. Well, there you go. So this would make perfect sense that look where it's sitting, these 3, 1, 2, and 3. And when you take a close look at these things with magnifying glass, guess what? They are off the ground. They appear to be off the ground. So let me see here. Okay. So now, this is what I did. In fact, I did a video about this. Here's a slide. And what I do is I actually turn this around so that we can have it match this. Now, if you notice right here on the right one, you can see where it's lightest. Doesn't fully fill the actual area. And check it out. It's actually the perfect size is this. Now, look at the Pasidonius crater. Since when do 90-degree angles, there's like 1, 2, 3, all in it. There's so much to see in this photo that it just blows your mind. So, yeah, when we talk about hollow Earth, maybe it's not completely hollow. Maybe it's something to do with maybe just below the surface. And a lot of people speculated that if you look at this area here on the right, they claimed, well, maybe it's a glass sort of thing, and that they could still see out, but we can't see in. Kind of like a one-way glass like you would see at the police station kind of thing, or a tent or something they can literally hide themselves. We don't know. But what's bizarre is you can see that looks weird, and then you look at the left-hand side, take a good look at that with a magnifying glass. You're going to see there's no way this is natural. There's just no way. And I think people needed to see that. Now, let me go ahead and just jump back out of this. I'm going to stop sharing.
What's up, everybody? We're talking live.
Yes, thank you, Chris, for sharing your thoughts and your screen with us.
What's up, everybody? We're talking live.
And Will is up to a lot of noise here in the background.
Oh shoot, I left my thing on. Sorry guys. I'm sitting here trying to do what Billy was, trying to get more people on it.
Yeah.
Sorry about
Sharon.
that.
It's all right.
I love to hear myself talk today, so sorry.
Chris, that was awesome. I really loved it. It really looked like there is much more underneath it than we see. And when you said the thing about the one-way window, that's a damn good point to bring up here. I'm amazed when I saw those two comparisons with the picture from the orbiter and the radio.
I mean, didn't they also find like heavy metals, like on these rocks and stuff? They were made like a titanium, stuff that you would typically find like real hard metal we'd use here on Earth. And of course, we got the ringing once they dropped some of the secondary rockets onto the actual lunar surface. It rang for like 3 days, 3 hours. I mean, it just rang. So why would it do that? And this is the reason why I think we talked, and we, Thomas, everybody, I know a lot of people talked the day we had, I think it was Brett was on there as well as Ken Johnson. We talked about that, and it's like, and I even asked him, why did they bring seismographs to the moon? Think about that a minute. It's like, are they having moonquakes? Which I think they did actually say they had. But what's really funny is that you go, okay, I get the moonquake thing, or is it possible you're trying to hear things that are underground? Meaning actual, maybe there's a city, maybe they're trying to hear these things. Who knows? I think they were there for a whole different reason, and they weren't there just simply looking for rocks.
Probably not.
Exactly.
Let me just see if I can get Brad Collins-Shepard on, because Skype just told me that he was online. So let me give it a try again here.
Okay, we lost Dolly, I think.
Dolly?
It was such
She lost the screen.
Dolly is still
Yeah,
here.
that's you guys.
No, I'm here. I got lost for a second. I was still
okay.
in, but I just disappeared.
Okay, cool.
Strange.
Let me just see here. Brad Collins-Shepard. Okay. We will have to do it without Brett, and see what's. Let me just work on this in a minute. I'll leave the word to you guys, and we can talk about this image from Ken Johnston's archive that are on the screen now, showing what looks like an ET Bay or lunar disk array. What do you guys think about this? And I will try to add Brett while we're speaking here.
Well, this is Billy Carson with Forbidden Knowledge. Some of the viewers let me see what it looks like from the viewer's perspective, because, if they're without the trained eye, sometimes you don't know really what you're looking at. Let me just go take a look from there, because they're really tiny. What we're looking at, guys, at the viewers here, we're looking at these tiny row of white dots, that are on the surface of the moon, taken from the orbiters. You can see, if you can really see that. And they're set up in what appears to be organized rows. So they are actually lined up sort of like you would, of course, under intelligent thought to make an array. If you know what an array is that's what SETI uses. You actually put a grouping of these radio dishes or satellites together in a formation in order to be able to send and receive data from space. And this looks to me like an actual array. It really, if you really get in close, these look like gigantic dishes, and on some of them you can actually see the base structure that actually, the arms or whatever you want to call it, the legs that hold them down onto the ground. It's a really amazing image that Ken Johnston provided for us. I don't know if we can see that right now, Thomas. I'm actually seeing your screen. I don't see the actual array.
Hang on.
No, it is on there.
Second.
It's on there.
It's on there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I've got the other computer on it. It is showing it.
Okay. All right, good. So this is something that you really should take some time to look at and review if you really want to see this image. It's one of the most amazing evidences to me of intelligent life being on this moon at one particular point, whether it is later, earlier, or now, or whatever. But this array is there. There's no doubt about it, or it was there. And I think this is one of the top things that should be brought out in research, because it's almost undeniable. As far as I can see.
True. I am sorry for being a little silent here. I'm trying to get Brett on here. I don't think he has updated his Skype version, so I'm still trying hard here. And let me just get back to my screen here. And there are some other good images here, and one of them was let me just the one that you posted once, Billy.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a dome, what looks like a dome on the moon. Can you see that on my screen?
Yep, I can see it.
Yes.
Yeah. This is one of my greatest discoveries on the moon. This is an undeniable dome structure. The structures on the inside of that dome, some of them are a mile plus tall off the surface of the moon. If you research moon structures and anomalies, for the viewers out there, you'll discover that a lot of these anomalies on the moon, for whatever reason, are super massive. Just super massive. There's one tower on the moon that's 4 miles high. They're just humongous perpendicular anomalies on the structure of the moon. And how I came across this particular anomaly, I was researching moon images, and I kept coming across NASA images that had a lot of stuff fudged out and wiped out and cut and pasted over. It was just horrible. And I was getting a little bit pissed off, and I said, I wonder if I could find an old video from the moon landing from Apollo missions, that I can take that video and then bring the video in and turn down the contrast. And that's exactly what I did. I found a video with the limb returning to the command module. I screenshotted it, took it into Photoshop, and right away, as soon as I turned the contrast down and turned some of the brightness down, this moon dome appeared right before my eyes. It's there. It's absolutely amazing. Then I just took the burn tool and lightly ran it over the top of the dome a little bit to see what was on the inside, and you can see the structures on the inside of this dome. This is a supermassive dome with supermassive structures on the inside, and it's on the moon. And this is not an official NASA image. It's official NASA video, but it's before they get a chance to cut it, edit it, and delete anything. And it's there. Not only is this one there, but there's a lot of them around this one. But this was the easiest and most clear one to see, probably because it was direct in the line sight of the focal point of the actual lens that was videotaping the limb. And one thing I want to bring out about this is, if you go to the Sumerian text, and I'll just read a couple of clippings here from some Sumerian text. It says, Nibiru's perigee, let me see, and Lil summoned, and Lil is one of the Anunnakis, and Lil summoned to the landing place the Nibirans who survived the flood on Earth's peaks. So he's talking about, he summoned the Anunnaki, his relatives, basically, that survived the Great Flood. He summons them. They ended up on top of mountains here because they're on the Great Peaks. And the astronauts in the spacecraft orbiting the planet, he called in his son Nanar from his refuge on the moon, and Enki's son Marduk from his refuge on Mars. This is in the ancient Sumerian tablets, guys. Okay, this isn't NASA. This isn't the European Space Agency. This isn't some Caltech or JPL. This is etched in stone. Then Marduk reported that Lamu, which is Mars, by the passage of Nibiru was devastated. Its atmosphere was sucked out. Its waters evaporated. A place of dust storms it is, talking about the destruction on Mars. Mm-hmm. Nana reported the moon was only usable with eagles' masks. Okay, so when you see the Anunnaki depicted, sometimes people see them depicted as human being faces, even though they're giants, and then sometimes you see them depicted with eagle's mask, like on my Facebook profile image, there's an Anunnaki with an eagle's face. Those are not what they look like. Those are their helmets. The artist drew them on as eagle's masks, but they're actually helmets. Now, they may have been decorative to look painted on the sides, an eagle or a bird, but when they say that they put on their eagle's mask for breathing because the atmosphere is thin, they're talking about putting on spacesuits, guys, for the viewers out there. They're talking about putting on spacesuits. They've been on the moon. They've been on Mars. They've been on Earth. This is why you can find the same types of structures on all the planets and moons in our solar system. There's pyramids on Earth. There's pyramids on the moon. There's pyramids on Mars. It's the same architect. These people, in my opinion, based off what I've been researching and reading, these Anunnaki people, they may not have been the first in our solar system. I think people go back even way further than that visiting here. But for what I consider now time, which is the last several 100,000 years, they were the architects, the main architects of the megalithic structures on Earth, the moon, and Mars, for sure, in my personal opinion, with all the artifacts that we've discovered now, with all the evidence that we've got, and now with all these Sumerian tablets, this is pointing directly to Anunnaki intervention right here, in my opinion.
I can't wait till we intervene in the schools here, at least in America, and actually start putting some of this information into the textbooks, because at a young age, when you take this stuff in when you're a child, most of the people come watch my videos that talk about their kids watch it. They see a lot more than we do, and they're not as programmed as we have been. And this stuff, like, all I remember about ancient history, especially in grade, well, not grade school, but high school, was the Egyptians. That was it. Maybe a little bit down in the South America, but nothing about what's out there. We're talking hundreds of civilizations. Some were finding, like Göbekli Tepe, that it was buried, and they're having to dig it out. Now they're thinking that it's huge. It was in Turkey. I mean, Turkey. It's just. Billy, I tuned into Billy's Gaia show the other night on. He's in a show now that's on, I think it's Gaia.com, and he talks about these. They're everywhere. Yeah, deep space. It's like they're everywhere, and it's like you don't need that guy from like the Ancient Aliens with the big crazy hair to tell you like there's something here. Yeah, I think they put that guy out there on purpose just to like put like a funny thing to it, but. This stuff needs to be put together and looked at by science. I don't think our scientists are going to do it. It's going to take younger people who actually can put this together. It's already been put together for people. This needs to get taught now. You know, who's gonna? And maybe that's something that we need to do as a group, is push forward with education for this stuff. You know, as we move forward and we get sick and tired of dealing with trolls and all that stuff, and we know the information we know, like just like Billy's doing his stuff. I mean, someone's going to have to tell us. So this is it needs to get out there. And Billy is 100% right. We're talking hundreds of places that have the same architecture. The rocks look melted, like they had some sort of lens that they could do it with, or some type of technologies. And it very well could have been something that happens all the time here. Come and go.
Yep.
You know, come and go. You come and go. And if you're lucky, you get to leave and hang out. But we've definitely been. We're moving more into like that UFO thing. We're definitely being. This doesn't feel like our planet anymore, to me at least. So.
Correct.
Well, I'll shut up now. I'll let you guys talk. I got something on my screen when you want to go to it. Not right now. If you got any more pictures, I was just going to let you know that, Thomas. When you're out of pictures, I got it all queued up.
We have a little Juno conspiracy theories going on here, and we're gonna go back to Will Ferrar and share his screen a little bit later. I just hope that I could have Brad Collins Shepard on, and we are fighting here to get him on. And his only comment to that is me and Skype is not friends. I don't know why I can't add him to this conversation, even though he is online. But we will have him on next time if he doesn't succeed. Brad, if you can hear us, just click on the link I sent you on Facebook and on your Skype and see if you can come in that way. We have a few other pictures. We have those of the so-called Chinese lunar base. Does anybody of you have ever heard of that one?
Yeah.
I saw it on the feed.
And if I have understand it right, let me just show you the picture here. If I have understood this right, then it's not there. It's fake. It's a fake picture or not a real picture. I don't know if anybody of you have heard something else. Have you heard something else, guys?
No, I just have seen this image even on Brett's Lunar Research Anomaly page.
Yeah.
You know, for years actually. It's something that's been around for a very long time.
Yeah.
I've looked at it under a magnifying glass and just been astounded as you know, the way it looks. And one time I think I saw a flyover of this area of the moon. I forget which lander or which satellite it was that flew over. As it passed, it took a picture of this area, or video actually of this area. But that was a few years back. I mean, if that thing is really there, it's first of all super massive. It's full of geometry, and it just cries out saying, "I'm artificial."
Hang on 1 second. Is that Brad we have with us?
Yeah, I'm here. I don't know how good this is going to sound, but I'm here.
Hey, Brad, you got the alien voiceover today. Can you either turn down your Skype volume on your speakers, because we have echoes all over here?
Oh, all right.
He's underwater.
Yeah, I'm running in the washer.
I think it was better. Are you still with us? And now we can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just gonna mute it when you guys are talking.
Okay, don't you have a headset you can put on, because it's your speakers that goes into the microphone?
No, I really don't.
Okay, Brett, can you see the screen here? Can you see my screen?
I do. I see the screen. I'm doing this web version thing that you guys are on. From the link.
This is.
He's got just that little bit of delay.
Yeah. We're looking at a picture you posted from the Lunar Orbiter.
That's sorry. This can you hear me at all?
Yes. We hear you fine.
That's my washer. Yeah, seriously. All right. Let's see. Let me turn all this stuff off.
Any of the ladies have anything to say?
I'm just gonna go, you guys.
Hey, you can chat in the room, in that chat room, and answer
I
some
don't.
questions.
I don't like this Skype thing. I do not like Skype. Hate it.
No.
Just letting you know that.
Okay.
But you're going through a nice.
Really wanted to talk about why we actually went to the moon and how, because how we got there is even more unbelievable than that Van Allen crap. You know.
Hey, we
Really
can hear you
unbelievable
pretty decent now.
Let us know what you're
Right.
thinking, Brett.
Well, basically, we were helped all the way to the moon and back by extraterrestrials, and we were also helped by some very old technology from Nazi Germany. So as far as getting through the Van Allen belt, we had some extraterrestrial help, as far as I know. And there was actually one time when they were going to pull the Apollo 13 astronauts off and put them in the extraterrestrial vehicle and get them back home to safety. So they actually did that. And the reason why they did it with the rudimentary, crappy technology that we had is to show the world that we had a fuel-based system. And let's see. I also had that one anomaly that they were showing with Sergeant Carl Wolf narrating it or something, with the Chinese had found a base on the moon. That thing was featured on the Sci-Fi Channel by Mike Barra, I believe Mike Barra, and he was talking about he didn't know the image number. It was 3085_MED. That was my research. That particular thing is fake. You know, somebody plopped it into a Lunar Orbiter Lunar Orbiter 3 image. So they kind of plunked it in there, and they made that fake image out of that. So that's kind of what I wanted to really get across, you know, so you guys don't, you know, have to jargle too much stuff or whatever, edit too much out. But that's really what I wanted to say. I completely understand why people don't think we went to the moon. Completely. But we did, and we went there a weird way. We've had a secret space program the entire time, and NASA has just been covering it up. But that's what I wanted to say, you guys. Thank you.
Okay. we were also looking at your pictures. We were just looking at the picture with the lunar base dish arrays. Let me just get it up again here. ET base or lunar dish array. Yeah. Can you quickly give us your thoughts on it?
Yeah, that particular lunar base was found north of Mare Fundamentalis. You guys, good luck on pronouncing that word, because it's a weird word. It's a really cool base. That I found it in Ken Johnston Sr.'s image collection. It was actually in one of the Apollo slides, and it was of the lunar module taking a picture of the command module and showing the surface of the moon. So the possibilities of reflections are zero on that. It's way down there on the surface, you know.
Yeah.
And I had it analyzed by a photographic expert, or someone that's been doing it for years. This guy is a photographer. He takes pictures all over the country for high schools and everything else, you know. And he said that is actually on the image. It's not a reflection. The light is in a completely different direction than the light source, you know. So there's the light source that would have been a reflection, he said. It perfectly is adherent to the solar reflection in the image. So that's what he had to say about that. That really is something on the moon. And I'd also like to say that I had a friend that told me he worked on satellite dishes, relay dishes that we speak to extraterrestrials from Earth on. And he worked on those on the moon. And I'll get back with more of that later, but that is what he told me. So I hope he comes out with his stuff. I've encouraged him to do so. This guy's really cool. I was in the Army over in Germany with him, so he's legit, you know, the communications guy for the CIA and the Army and all that spooky crap. So I hope he comes out with all that. It'll be fun.
Brett, I know you have just written a book. Didn't you? Are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, you just finished a book that you have been spending some time on to write. Can you tell us a little bit about that book and what can we expect to see in it and read in it?
Oh, my book. My gosh, that's a very long complexity. It goes thoroughly through the story of when I was 15 and I was shown lunar and Mars images from a lady from Stanford Research Institute, and she showed them to me for like 4 hours after a class one day. I didn't know what that was about, but I have a photographic memory, and I found out later that she was actually showing my own work from the future. So that's sort of how I got involved in all this weird, spooky stuff about the moon. And normally I wouldn't. I'm just an artist, normally, you know. So I got into this thing and found out there was a lot more to it than I thought, as far as the dimensional aspects of it. So I wrote about that in a book called Digital Moon. And I go through all of the artistic aspects of the lunar images as well as some of the secret space spooky stuff. And as I've gone on, the book has been writing itself. So it's sort of a weird thing like that, you know. Mm-hmm. So it's a very detailed story about my involvement with all of this lunar anomaly stuff.
I am looking forward to get a copy of that book at the 6th Annual Mars Conference here in May 2017 in Mobile in Alabama, where Brad Colin Shepard also will be, and Billy Carson also, and I think maybe Chris is dropping in by us. I don't know for sure yet. David Gannett from UFAH is also joining in also.
Yeah, we're working on it. We're trying to get down there ourselves right now. We're kind of in between jobs, so yeah, that's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's always a lot of fun. Brett, thank you for joining, and we need you to cut off your microphone.
I sure will. Thank you, guys.
Yes, I'll talk to you later.
I just wanted to add also is that I totally agree with that antenna array or dish array that he has, because I've actually went through there a little deeper on that thing, and that whole bunch of them sit on a flat platform. Once you actually get rid of some of that white and some of that crap they put over on that, it's actually the whole thing is on this flat plane, and all of those what look like dishes are all on this platform, and they're up in the air. So it's definitely there.
Something's there for sure. I have. Let's jump on to some of the other anomalies on the moon surface. I found something else today, or not today, a few days ago when I was looking on Apollo 15 images, and I found this odd object that looks a little bit too square, a little bit too much 90-degree angled, and I pointed it out in the red box on the right side and on the bottom here, where you can see it with some colors on. And are we looking at something extraterrestrial, or is it just a rock formation that we are looking at? What do you think, guys?
I think there's just I've come to this conclusion. I think I've done this video with you, Thomas, a while back, where I showed it looked like a craft or something. In fact, I believe Brett was with us as well as Ken Johnston, where it looked like that oval shape. It looked like a giant Tylenol kind of oval shaped craft. But what's funny about it is if you look really good on these on the lunar surface, there's a bunch of what look like either structures or crafts. It's almost like these things that come from like millions of years, and they've just collected on this lunar surface. So I don't know if I believe it's structures, but I also believe there's these weird crafts, like they just either crashed on the moon, or they just they landed there and then never took off, and they just sat there. I don't know. I mean, it's just a bizarre. What you've got here is you can see where it looks like it has. To me, it looks like it's in that red box. You've got what looks like a flat platform, and it shows a shadow just underneath on the right hand towards the back. I don't know what that is, but it clearly looks like some kind of structure. It clearly isn't some kind of crater. But yeah, there's a lot of insane looking things on this moon surface, man. This lunar surface, it's crazy.
I want to hear some words from the silent people here. Dolly and Dominic, give us your thoughts on this image. Are we looking at something extraterrestrial, or are we just looking at a boring rock formation that has a weird shape that just caught our attention?
Well, I've got it. Go on, Dolly. You go for it.
Oh, okay. I don't know on this one because when you look at it, it has got some structure to it, hasn't it? It's got some, and it's also got something that like dips in at the middle, like there's another hollow square bit on top. So I'd say that's a little bit of an interesting find. That one. It looks like a rock blob though, until you actually zoom in and see the shadowing and that. I find it interesting.
Yes. Dominic?
Yeah, no, I'm looking on my iPhone at the moment because I haven't got my computer's packed up, so I'm looking at the Skype perspective. But I can't zoom in anymore. But it looks like solar panels on the top. It looks flat and rectangular, and it's weird, isn't it?
It's an interesting one. I mean, from my perspective that I'm looking at, this is Billy Carson, Forbidden Knowledge. When you first look at this image, you get the idea that you can see the structure, the geometry of the structure, the base of it, which seems like it's backing up to maybe a hill, and it's there. But if you really, really take a close look with a magnifying glass, then you can see that it even has some structure that come up and off of it to the rear right. The thing coming perpendicular to the structure above it, and then it kind of hangs over to the right a little bit. So after you really let your eyes settle into this image and take a really good look at it, and if you have a magnifying glass, that would be best. But you discover that this object has a lot of geometry and what appears to be multiple sections or parts to it. So it's really a strange one, but it definitely does not match the surrounding area geology at all. It looks like it's an anomaly, something that doesn't belong.
Indeed.
Yeah.
For some reason, I just lost all the comments here on my tablet, and I only see a few here on Facebook when I'm looking at my PC, because I wanted to go through some of those comments. Do you guys, do you still have all the comments on your screens? Yes.
Yeah, I saw one earlier, I've got to say. I don't know if you guys want to comment. It's about, people always say there's no stars. Why are there no stars? Yeah. And a camera, when you're taking a picture, you can't focus on infinity and an object in front of you, and plus you've got sunlight is reflecting off the moon. We've seen this with rovers that have been there and astronauts as well, and and it's a question that I just wish people would understand. It's if you pick up a camera, a proper, camera, a Nixon, a Canon, something like that, and play around with it and learn the apertures, and you'll understand. You can't do that.
Well, it depends on how much light they let into. I mean, they can adjust the aperture and everything else. And this is, because if they didn't turn it down or didn't allow just X amount of light to come in, it'd be so darn bright you wouldn't see any detail.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
By turning it down, this is the reason why you can't see any kind of stars in the background. It's the same thing with when you see the ISS, it's looking down at Earth. People go, "Where's all the bloody stars, man? I don't see any of the stars."
Yeah.
Well, they're there, but it's just because there's so much light being reflected off the Earth, they need to turn down and only allow so much light to get into the camera. Therefore, guess what? Anything that's dimmer in the background, you no longer see it.
And that's very true, Chris, because just from a perspective from Earth looking up, with my telescope, and I know you can relate to this as well, Chris, because you have a telescope. If I'm in the city area or a well-lit area on the ground, I cannot see the stars from Earth, and that is because there's too much light getting into the aperture. I have to take and go to a dark place. So I go to this park called Markham Park. It's out here in West Broward, and this park has no lights. And when I go out there, then everything opens up. I can see Jupiter. I can see the rings of Saturn.
Wow.
But if I go right out in my parking lot, in my driveway at my house, I can't see nothing.
Nope. It'll totally drown it out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's no different than, like I said, when they're pointing at the moon or, another body that's huge that's in front of the camera, it's going to drown out everything else that's small and, less dimmer. or less
Correct.
brighter, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first comment I found. It saved to you guys.
And Hassan Mohammed is writing, why haven't we built a base on the moon yet?
They're already there.
Yes.
They're already there. There's the SSP, Secret Space Program. We've been on the moon. We've been on Mars. We've been now, as I discover more, and as I've made a lot of contacts through Gaia, talking to a lot of whistleblowers that come from extremely reputable sources. I'm talking about in government. That they've been everywhere in this entire solar system. They've traveled everywhere. They've been to the rings of Saturn. They've been to Pluto. They've been everywhere. Bases have been on the moon for decades.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Personally, I'm very exopolitical oriented and believe in my personal belief is that there is life on every single planet in our little universe here, Milky Way. I don't think there is an actual planet without some sort of life on. But hey, that's just me, my meaning, my thoughts.
I'm the same way. Like I think that life is like the constant. That's kind of how I feel. This Will.
Or life has visited it. At some point, life has visited these planets. If they're not habited now, they have been at some point. That's my belief. And Billy's right. There's a huge agenda going on with the secret space program. We've been there for a long time, and there has been many races that have used the moon as its satellite, basically. So earlier, when we saw those pictures, excuse me, of those dishes, those discs, that doesn't surprise me that those could be satellites of communication. Somehow, so possibilities never ending, endless, limitless.
What did Billy say earlier? Billy said that it's so perfect, the moon, to how our solar eclipses, our lunar eclipses, and things line up together. What are the odds of that happening? We're obviously in a very special place, and everybody out there listening has something special that they're here to do. It's definitely it's way too like we're just by happenstance here.
We're still functioning by those equinoxes today, by our lunar calendar. We're still functioning with those old ancient myths and stories. Today's civilization, we are functioning by all those things still.
That's right. The Egyptians, are famous for, lunar eclipses, and but the solstice for us Brits as well was Stonehenge, and
Yeah, exactly. Everything aligns perfectly with each other. So
there's even henges, Dolly, that have been found in America now that have been lined up with
There's more and more. There's so many circles all over the world that are appearing, and they play a huge significance as well with the solstices and with the planets and the movements of the moon and the earth and humanity itself. So, but we're only just now unraveling all these mysteries. And I loved a comment earlier, I don't know who said it, but they said, I can't wait till these things are taught in school. And that's the thing, you see, we've been, our generation has been programmed so much, and part of the secret space program was to do with that through schools. Certain kids were targeted, and and that's what's happened to us. We've had so many layers of programming that we're now disattaching and deattaching and deprogramming, and we're able to upgrade and basically educate our future generations and start to disclose this stuff and unravel it.
Rachel Foreman is asking, why did the lie about this keep us from seeking the truth? Well, I think it's been answered several times today. The truth hurts for some people. It's a relief for some other people. But my personal opinion is that the truth hurts are those with the power and the money and the oil. So
Absolutely. And if the truth did come out, then there'd be chaos. And I do believe myself personally that we could be in those chaotic times now already that have been talked of and predicted, and we're in that transitional change where we can change things and educate ourselves, and we've got these things now as forbidden knowledge and Mars Moon's phase, and we're all connecting, getting this stuff out there, and we're growing.
Can I just pick up on what Thomas just said? About people having the oil. The oil takes people to the moon, takes NASA to. If the oil is taken away, what other propulsion systems and stuff are we going to use in the future? If these greedy people that hold all this oil and I've always pondered that, Thomas. That's a great question.
Well, the oil is actually this is Billy Carson Forbidden Knowledge. The oil is a big part of everything, and it's not just combustion engines. And I think this is what a lot of people don't realize, is that petroleum is used in everything. Your computer screen, your tablet case, your cell phone case, the dashboard of your car, your lamp case that holds up, that you plug your bulb into, some of your furniture, most of your furniture actually, the chairs that you sit in, the base of the chairs you sit on. I can keep going. I can go on and on for hours. There are literally millions of things that we use on a daily basis that create our civilization that's made from petroleum.
Wow.
Okay. Yep. So when you cut off oil, drilling, you cut off. I can't even say the word. It's not even trillions of dollars. It's Googles of dollars. You literally cut off Googles of dollars. Forget trillions. It's beyond trillions. Okay.
It's about control, Billy, isn't it? It's all
yes,
about
it's complete control. It's woven its way. It's even in fertilizer. It's woven its way into every aspect of the life of a human being on a daily basis. That almost everything you touch, the blinds in my house that I'm touching right now, they're made of petroleum. So when you realize this, that how much stuff is made of oil, you go, holy crap. So now, are there other alternatives? Yes, we can use hemp. We can use. There's so many other alternatives that we can use, but the industry has to be created. But everything, when it comes to a halt, and it will, because everything happens in cycles. When this regime or this oligarchy comes to an end, there will be an economic collapse and there will be some chaos while everything has to try to reorganize itself, and it will happen. But things potentially in the future could get worse before they get better, as the transition has to happen. It's just part of life. There's no way to escape it. But when you realize how much is involved with this oil thing, with this petroleum, it's in literally almost even this everything. It's crazy.
We choose to build this world on oil and fossil fuels, and this is what we are getting now. Yes. Sorry, go on, Will.
And maybe the people who chose that left these amazing statues, like where people say that the Spaniards would come into the period and say, who built these amazing pieces? They'd say, oh, the gods did. Because maybe there are people that got out of here before one of the cataclysms. Who knows where they're sitting? You know what I mean? Or maybe they didn't. It seems like we're fighting war over and over and over again here. And whether it's us, well, obviously what we found on Mars is very warlike. It's what the planet of wars. This place is thrashed. I mean, it doesn't. It's just beyond thrashed, and with the years added on. So the moon, just like that. I'm not personally sure if there's people living in the moon or in the hollow moon or anything like that. It could just be a lifeless place. I don't know if they actually, I know that somebody's mentioned earlier, they talked about they were followed there and back. Brett said it here. He said that we actually had missions with them, where they followed us.
I want to go back to the question why did they lie about this, and add a little thing to this. And when we're done with that, we're going to go back to Will, because Will has done some studies of the Jupiter mission, where they have been taking a lot of pictures, and we want to hear what Will has to say about that in just a minute. But back to the question, why did they lie about this, keeping us from seeking the truth? Now, in theory, imagine that down to planet Earth, we are living in disclosure time. An alien craft is coming down. You cannot kill them, you cannot shoot them, you can only see them and listen to them, and there's nothing you can do about it. Imagine when people are starting to come down and starting to communicate. What would the first things people would wanted to know from these foreigners or aliens or other species? One of the things I know I would ask about is, how is your political system where you come from? Do you have a political system? How is economy where you come from? Do you have monetations? Do you need money? Or do you live in a society where you pay with money earned from working? Or do you live in a kind of society where you share everything that's given to you by the planet you are living on? How is all this working for you? And then imagine if one of these from another world said, we don't have a political system. We have a few leaders, you need them, but not a political system as we have it, as you have it here on planet Earth. Then imagine how our leaders around the world would react to that answer, because everybody would be shaking their butts out of their pants, because what happens if people just suddenly demanded to get a new political system, as we probably would understand and see from foreigners outside of this planet, is functioning quite well, and they have technology to travel from planet to planet, and it's not a secret from them that this technology exists. Everybody would demand a shift in political movement and how to rule countries and the planet as such. I think many of those sitting on the top, sitting with the power, with the oil and the money and the political systems, the governments around the world, they would for any price, those of them that knows the truth, because there are some of those members in the governments around the world that knows what is going on on other planets. They have knowledge. They also know that if we do like they do, to get a better world, to create a better world, then all the rich people would fall and become equal to the rest of us.
Right.
And that's not something rich people want to happen.
The rich people would rather this place blow up. They'd rather kill everything here than to give up their power.
Well,
and I imagine
they're not consciously awake. That's why.
Yeah, and I imagine the truth from any beings that we meet from anywhere should be taken with as little as the truth that we get from them, assuming that their truth comes from the winners of wars, just like it has here on Earth, considering that's the only nature that we really see here. You know?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if that they did land and they were quite defensive, because if I landed here, I'd feel a little bit of hostility, to be honest, with the human race, the way it acts towards itself at the moment.
Absolutely.
I would definitely feel some kind of threat. So there wouldn't be a shock there that we wouldn't be best friends straight away. And that's the thing to think about, that, not everything is friendly out there. And it's quite possible that we could interact with a species very much going back to like the Anunnaki, that do have their own agenda concerning the Earth and its history, which is way older than any human knows.
Well, here's another thing too.
We don't even know our truth.
In addition to that, we always talk about it like a breakaway civilization. In other words, we've already taken off from here, or there's groups of people living on Mars, maybe the moon, so on and so forth. What would happen once you've got there? Let's say they take the genetically excellent people, like couples. They take good genetic people. They take them to Mars or wherever. Now, how about they go, hey, you know what? We've made a bunch of mistakes on Earth. Let's not do that again. How about abolishing any kind of monetary? Think about that a minute. if you lived in a world that had no monetary, in other words, it was kind of like an Amish country, if you will. Okay, Billy, you need a house built. We're all going to get together. It's not going to cost you a dime. We do ask you to. You will work like everybody else, but you just won't get paid. That's fine because you'll get X amount of food. If you got a family, you get X amount of food. Need a house built? We'll do that for you. Need a vehicle? We'll do that for you. But you will work, but not get paid. So everybody is now equal.
So it would be like a free exchange.
Pretty much.
So, yeah, but that is exactly where we are caught in that trap, in that prison planet on Earth.
Exactly.
Because that's what we do. We give away our human energy to earn pieces of paper that don't even exist, that are fictitiously just programmed into that system, into that matrix. You know, and that's where humanity gets hooked and into the program and subliminally controlled by the financial structure. And you know, really there is no financial structure. It's all done on barter and gold and people. You know, the exchange is human energy. We give it away for free, and we get caught in so many traps for doing so.
Yeah,
I do believe.
Hey Thomas, I got another moon picture. Can I share my screen now?
Yes, let's get to Will Ferrar here. Let's see your screen, and when you are ready,
let me see how I do this here.
Over here.
Share screen.
And meanwhile, we sing the Happy UFAH song.
Happy UFAH, happy.
Okay,
happy
I am shifting over to Will Ferrar now. Your screen is live.
All right, you can see me? Almost.
Yes.
We'll get it in a second here.
Yeah.
All right, this was Maurice Van Veen had found this, and I found this so interesting. He had picked up the first two of these. This was an Apollo image of an area. These spaces here are, I think it comes about a mile long, something like that, when you put it up to it. I have an article on it that tells you the pieces and how to get them. But at first one, all we saw were these two long ones here on the left. Can you see my mouse too, or no? I guess not.
Yeah. We can see
the basic. Okay, you can. Yeah, and these long shadows, you know, these really long shadows, and then this little square. Then over here, the LROC, one of the first ones that went up there. I think this was the 1 or 2. It was 2. Found this again, same spot, same thing. So I started digging because I saw this. This started looking a lot more like a long, straight statue, and over here you could see things popping out. Look how strange that shadow is over here. Well, I found it again in the last image, and you can see it down here. How I'm not sure how tall it is. Like I said, I'm not. To me, it looks like I call it a moon base, but it absolutely was one of the ones that blew my thing. Because when you come around down here, this looks like almost like a windbreaker wall or something along that. Where if you went around and cut it out, and you can see how on the top it's got notches, unless that's just how it lays. You know, the shadows lay down in strange ways because of the ground next to it sometimes, but you can see how it matches that piece. And that was Maurice Van Veen had found that originally, and I added that one to it, and I was like, this is one of my favorite ones. And I don't know if anybody else wants to comment about it. If you guys have seen these before, like this looks like something that would take you down into a hollow earth or something that maybe crashed there.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Possibly. It's interesting the way the geometry of the objects, you know, the shapes and the shadowing, and when you said windbreaker walls, that just questioned a little thing in my mind. Well, why wouldn't they have dust storms there now and again? You know, there's got to be solar winds up there that do blast the planet, and is it?
Yeah,
is it
sometimes who knows? Who knows what it was like?
Yeah, who knows what harsh conditions, you know, take place on the moon?
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes guys are like that.
The object on the top right, it does to me look a little bit like you have. I like the theory about something that crashed, but I like that one.
Yeah,
I mean, it's what it looks like to me. I mean, every time I look around, I see structures, what look like structures, but I also see things that look randomly like they just crashed into the lunar surface.
right?
I mean, it's
they're
just
bored,
bizarre. I
something
mean,
happened. I mean, and like I said, I look back and it seems like war. And I know I won't talk too much about Juno, but I tried to catch up with this mission because this was
just a little quick announcement. Dolly battery just died and she won't be coming back here today. So we see Dolly next time. Unless she can hook up to us again. I'm getting a lot of messages here. This is like a command central I'm living in here. I have screens here and there on my tablets and messages here and Skype there and yeah.
Sounds like me.
Will, go ahead.
Okay, Juno is a craft that was sent off by NASA. A lot of money spent into this, and I'm starting to think that some of the missions that go out are either money laundering, basically laundering money inside of NASA to send things otherwise. They opened this up. This is something that NASA usually doesn't do. They opened up all the raw files right as they got back, and basically the public are pulling these out. And when you download one of these, like they have the whole imaging there. It's called the Juno Cam. You download. Let me show you how one looks like it. Hopefully, we can find one from a mission phase. Here we go. Turn the Earth off. But it almost looks like CGI. You know, this was somebody out there put it together, and NASA's actually posting the public stuff. It's almost like this stuff should have been on there. If this was really Jupiter, should have been on front page. It's just people are adding stuff to it here like that, almost giving you that sense of this is what we're going to be looking at in the future. But this guy basically took a raw footage and film this out of it, and everything just looks CGI to me on this. So I just wanted to bring this up at the end and say, you guys, if anybody's looked into this mission, if not, maybe half these missions don't actually go off. And I'm going to be going down to the Space Science Week again, like I did last year in March. It's in D.C. Anybody can make it to D.C. at the end of this month, March. If you look Space Science Week, there you can go there and sign up as a press or sign up as public. I met Alan Stern, all these people from NASA I was shaking hands with. They knew that I met the guy who ran the Pluto mission and the New Horizons mission, Stern there, and I went to shake his hand. We were walking out of John, actually, and I finally see him as we come out of John. It's like, hey, came here just to hear you talk, tonight, and I said, hi, my name is Will, and he's like, I know who you are. So they're watching what we put out on them. I know that NASA is, and he gave a great speech, but some of the missions don't give as much data. They don't come back. This one seems to be inviting people in to get into the data, but look how it comes out. It just doesn't look real to me. So if anybody wants to either say anything or take a look at any of this stuff, you go to missionjuno.swri.edu, and you can do a whole lot with them. But like I said, that $1 billion could have been put towards the secret that what Billy was talking about earlier. They could be funneling the money out that way. Millions of different ways to build spacecraft, to head off. But this was something I've been watching really closely, and then in the last probably 6 months, I've fallen off a little bit when it came to it. When I pulled this up the other day, I asked everybody in the chat window, I was like, have you guys seen this? Because this looks like CGI stuff. This looks like they're basically allowing the public to make to do their work for them now. So
crazy.
Anybody else? Yeah. If you guys.
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, everyone's been talking about NASA haven't taken pictures of the Earth, and there's a couple of famous pictures, obviously, and then they're saying there's CGI. They're putting clouds in there. I'm not talking about the flat Earth module or anything like that. I'm just talking about NASA haven't produced a lot of pictures of the Earth, and they've kept pictures they have taken and they've released a couple lately, it's just making me think about what you're saying, Will.
They did actually put out a couple of the Earth flyby ones because I thought I got, and they did say that I did read that they can't control the cameras on this. There's one camera apparently. This big mission, they've got 7 or something instruments, but they don't have
it's like
a really
doing
good
a
camera.
gigapan. Yeah, it's like doing a gigapan, and they've got to put it together when it rotates.
And then, but they send out these. I mean, it's like they're there for people to get, and it's very strange that they're actually asking people to come in and get it. And that's when I start thinking, well, they're blurring the line between what's real and what's not. You know. And as they do that going forward, we just got to keep doing what we do and try and find the truth. I think. Like I said, I don't think any of us have got there, and probably the people up at the top don't even know the whole truth, the whole shebang of it. But that's all I had about the Juno. And guys, if anybody else out there, email me, whatever. Like I said, I'm going to do a couple videos on this thing. There's a couple of actual pictures I pulled out, but I don't have them queued up here. But I'm handing it back to Mr. Thomas.
Okay, thank you. And I am going back to the moon. Because
to the moon.
We are back on the moon, and Dolly is back on the line.
I'm back.
Yes,
Welcome
back, Dolly. Did you remember to bring some cold drinks to us while you were gone?
She's more worried about the battery, which I don't blame her.
Yeah.
We are.
Are you hanging by an outlet somewhere with your phone up to the phone plugged in? And
I am really sad that Neville isn't here with us today, because this is his picture we are looking at here, and I don't think I need to describe what Neville is seeing in this picture, and someone is typing his keyboard, Billy.
Oh, sorry.
Take a look at this picture here. What do you guys see? Let me just say what I see. I think I see the same as Neville was seeing when he made these drawings. I see what looks like a skeleton, or the rest of a skeleton, parts of it. Does any one of you see something else?
no, that looks like Data's head. I think it was called way back in the day.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
Data,
Yeah, it was called Data's head. Looks just like right out of the movie. It's beautiful. And what a shame Nev couldn't make it tonight.
Yeah.
Hopefully next time around we'll have him. But he always puts in hours and hours of time with the big pans, and
Yes, he does.
I don't know, half the stuff we wouldn't find if it wasn't for him.
And I have another little funny thing here that I want to share with you. This is an actual Apollo 15 image. When I saw that, I was like, wow, whoa! And I put it into my photo software, and I enhanced it, and I uploaded it, and Keith Laney went back to me and said, did you check the other frames? So, oh my God, no. This is a good example of lens artifacts. Scratches on a lens, or something that is sitting on the lens. And I first thought that I actually found something extraordinary, but when I found out it was on the 10 pictures before that and minimum 10 after that, on exactly the same places on the different pictures, I had to admit that Keith Laney, who is a brilliant researcher on this, was right, even though I was a little bit I would have loved this.
He's an asshole. I love him to death. I'm good friends with him, I can say that. He's been doing this like Richard for what, 30-40 years. They were printing out. They had to buy the pictures when they started this.
He's wonderful.
He knows his stuff, and usually when he goes and he calls people out like that, usually he's pretty right. He's gotten me on a couple too. So that does look like a bug or something. You put a light up to, or like in a lens or something, like you look at your telescope or look into a microphone with the glass, and bed bug or something.
Yeah,
and that was don't want that thing around me. That's supposedly and that's how easy we can misidentify stuff, and
we can be deceived.
That's great how we keep moving forward.
Yeah, exactly.
I like Keith. I don't agree with Keith in everything. I have my issues, and I actually think that him and Neville are some kind of cosmic brothers. They seem to be speaking the same language on social media.
They don't They say what they believe. Nubble's the same
Yes,
way. If you
for
don't
sure.
think you're right,
And
he'll
that-
tell you.
I was saying it with a blink in my eye when I said that they should, they're probably Cosmic Brothers somewhere. Yeah, and the funny thing is that Keith is also doing Gigapants just like Neville is. So they're working the same
Yeah, but
way.
Nev is the master.
Neville is
Yeah,
the
he
master.
does a fantastic
Nothing
job.
can take that away from him. He
Never.
is the godfather, and that is why we always use Neville Thompson's wonderful
Yeah.
Gigapants when we are on these UFAH live streaming here. But
And he's going back and hitting a lot of the PDF files and pulling them out as 8-bits, and that's what Keith's been doing a lot of lately. Partly for the book we're writing with Hoagland, just to get it the clear pictures. You know, Nev, his stuff comes out even with those crappy 70% JPEG files and look great.
Yeah.
So that's like
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, and
But there are
the way it's flawless. It's the way it flows too. In other words, you can't really see any seams. So he does a really great job of it, and then I've told him that more than once. And it's not to just blow smoke up his ass. He actually does a really good job of it.
He does better than NASA. If you go into the into the database, the analytics notebook, you can see they put together all the mosaics for each one. It's kind of half-ass put together. They don't touch.
Yeah, I agree.
He should be over there getting paid.
he should.
He should.
And so should all of us, if you ask me. But that's another story.
Yeah.
Hey, Thomas,
Yes.
do we have time for one more comment?
We have all the time in the world, guys. I do have an interview with Mary Rodwell tomorrow at 9 hours from now exactly. So
Yes,
we have
got 9
9 hours.
I have to be up at 7 a.m. So you know.
Yeah. And Dolly, if you want to leave and go to sleep, you are free to do it. Just let us know if you want to do that. Okay.
Thank you, guys. I'll tune in a little bit longer because it's too hot to miss. Is this?
Okay.
Oh.
It is. Chris, you were saying?
Well, there's a comment on here, and I think it's really. I'm sure everybody's heard this particular comment, and I think it needs to be addressed because I think this is what's holding a lot of people back. And we can all comment on it. We can just go from there. But this seems to be maybe a slight naysayer. Goes by Robert Denny. I don't know if you guys seen his comments, but how did we get through lower Earth orbit? And I think that's funny because I'm saying to myself, okay, how didn't we? I mean, it's pretty simple stuff. I mean, the rocket takes off. It'll circle the Earth once, twice, just a slingshot around, and then either go to the moon, Mars, wherever it may be. People are under the impression, they go, well, an engine can't work out in space. I don't know who told them that. But the thing is, this is the reason why they go around Earth a couple of times to slingshot, because they don't use engines when they're just going through. They get the trajectory that they need, and then they just go in that direction. And if they need to, they'll use like their little retro rockets, kind of put them in, where they need to be as far as trajectory. But why wouldn't they be able to get into Earth low orbit? Or, I just don't get it. I'm just dumbfounded. What do you guys think?
No, Chris, I'm on your side because people don't understand. In a vacuum, with what you said, with little jet thrusters, it's gas. Gas will push you away. It's an element. It's something. It will push you. People do not understand that. Even astronauts, when they're on the ISS and they touch the spacecraft, they get pushed back and
Combustion
propellants, combustion propellants. Yeah, it will.
I mean, it's basically an explosion. I mean, you've got your gases and you've got oxygen. You need the fuel. You need a mixture of these things to have combustion. So, I mean, this is, it's really not complicated stuff here. And, most people, like I said, they'll question, well, don't they run out of fuel when they're going to Mars or another planet? No, they don't use it.
No.
I mean, once it's
no
out, it's got its speed up. It just goes out. There's no friction. There's nothing to slow it down. So they get it set on its trajectory, and if they have to use a yaw and roll, just get it where it needs to be, then off it goes. And then,
Chris, have you heard about that? You know about the no friction. If you keep going with a lot of fuel, and you get up to so many miles an hour, you have to slow down, and that's why you have to slingshot to slow down. A lot of people don't understand that. They just think you can just go to infinity and beyond and just go for it. It doesn't work like that.
Oh no. Try and explain hitting the black hole. That also hits total confusion.
Yeah, hit the brakes.
Right, don't go in there. There's layers and layers.
Well, I mean,
most of the trips, these things are actually asleep. Now they all go to sleep. Like that New Horizons was sent out so long ago. Alan Stern in his speech was talking about the fact that this was one of the first auto-anonymous go to sleep, and they basically coded the whole thing. They got the thing lifted off New Horizons, then the coder set down during those first, and I love that you said this, because all those flat earthers, people come up and say that the rocket always goes up and to the, and it misses the dome or whatever. It's got to go around the Earth, basically, a couple times, get that speed up, and then it shoots at, New Horizons went out to Jupiter. During that time, it slept. And they sent it the wake-up call, and it woke up. They uploaded the data. They uploaded basically the rest of the flight plans. They got everything ready for the shots as they flew by Pluto. So that's going to be more and more, where they're just going to be flying out everywhere from here, especially as India comes up, as all these other countries are bringing the goods, and they're putting stuff up there a lot.
Who knows about the receiving station here on Earth? Because I know when they was up at with the Mars rovers, they are all going through Caltech University in California. Isn't that right? I
they have several stations.
Yes,
they have several.
They've got several stations around the world that actually receive any of this information.
Australia's one as well, still from the original Mars missions from the late 60s.
But just 10 years ago, if I don't know if I'm wrong here, but just 10 years ago, wasn't it not just only Caltech in California who could receive the signal from satellites?
I mean, maybe that's what the public was told. I mean, to me, because here's the thing: we know the Earth is actually spinning. So what happens if these giant dishes, these basically communication dishes, go on the backside, and they're not facing the spacecraft anymore? Well, somehow, some way, they got to be able to do this.
Yes, but my thoughts on that is that if you have a satellite in Australia and one in India and one on Caltech and one somewhere else. And they're all receiving, but they are sending it to Caltech in Uniformity, and from there it goes back to ESA or ESRO, MRM, Indian. Yes,
that's right.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, but that is how I remember it. I could be wrong, but as I've understood now, both India and Russia has their own independent stations now, so they don't have to use Caltech or NASA anymore to get their own data down. And ESA, everything from ESA is going through Caltech, so ESA or India could not send something down without it getting through NASA's filter. I might be wrong on this, but as I understood, that was how it worked.
Yeah. No, India and Australia are Western allies. Russia aren't. So you hit the nail on the head.
I got a lot of good friends in Russia. They love
me
their
too.
space
I've got some
anomalies
friends.
too.
And we need to put these flat earthers to rest. We need to tell them that everything is round, spherical. Everything runs on round, spherical things, and that when you start thinking square, then you put yourself in a box, and then you can't get out that box. So don't think flat objects.
But I kind of what you just said, Dolly, kind of reminds me what Marina Jacobi said here last week when we interviewed her. You are creating your own reality.
Yes.
What you believe is that reality you create, and for you that will be the truth, no matter what everybody else says. So if you believe the Earth is flat, that is the reality for that person, but that reality is not the same for everybody else.
Well, I think it could be a reality. I think it could be a reality if it's the truth. I mean, for me, let's just say I was absolutely a flat earther, and nothing you guys could tell me that was round. Okay, but I would say, look, I'm going to do my own research. I'm going to dive into it. I'm going to be ass deep in this thing until I figure out what it is. And I'm not. That doesn't include watching YouTube videos from people who are just blurting this crap out. I mean, for me, I want to know for sure.
Evidence, hard facts.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to go on science pages. I want to go on peer interview sites. I want to go on to things that actually tell me the truth about what's going on. Because, I mean,
Don't say the scientists are saying the truth, though. A lot of the scientists don't talk truth because the truth can hurt their field. Especially if you've gone to school for 20 years and developed your whole life to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of the truth is very.
Yeah.
Well, and that's true. I mean, but you got to take as much. You got to weigh it out. Let's say you get 90% of the pages you read, or 99% of the pages you read is all got to do with round Earth, round planet, so on and so on, and only 1/10 of that, or just 1% is flat. What are you more likely to believe? And people will say, well, that's because it's a conspiracy to prove that it's round instead of flat. No, we're not really, because I mean, I've done my own video where I was cruising at 30, 40,000 feet in the air, and I could see a curvature to the Earth with a camera. And guess what? The airline window did not distort my view, because I actually had it on the ground, on the tarmac, took a picture there, then I took it up in the sky. And you can see, when I was on the tarmac, you could see the tower, the control tower and everything else. None of the antennas on it were bent over, or they were in a frog-eyed lens. None of that stuff.
Yeah, fish-eyed lens.
Yeah, there was none of this fish-eyed lens, none of this garbage. You didn't see any of that. So then I showed him that one there, and then when I was up in the air, and I was sitting over the wing, and we were cruising at 30, 40,000 feet, and you can see an actual slight curve to the Earth. And I showed this. I put a straight line right across. I don't have to baffle people with garbage. I just want to show them simplicity at its finest.
And if you read the comments right now, the last comment just posted, living a false life, congratulations. That just proved exactly what I said. You are living in the reality you create yourself.
Exactly.
Yes, and it's okay with me that Jesse is coming with that comment. I can live just fine with that. We all have different opinions, and all opinions are welcome as long as we can speak nice to each other and debate it in a grown-up way. But about I just forgot what I was about to say here because I have to look at the chats at the same time here. But yes. Does anybody of you want to say something until I remember what I was about to say?
Well, the only thing I could say is this guy Jesse, he put living a false life. Congratulations. And Thomas, you're right. I mean, I think everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But as long as, and I tell people in my videos, look, as long as you've done your research. Now, I'm not saying you can't be presupposed to something already. You got to say, okay, are these globalists right, or are these flat earthers? Let me do the research. And then once you've done the research, if you say, okay, I've come out and it's clearly flat, well, then that's what you should believe. But if you're just believing in these false videos, and these people just trying to push this agenda, then you're not helping yourself out at all. You need to do your own research. And I mean some reputable sites to really check this stuff out. And you'll find it's the truth. I actually told people, you know what, why don't you do this? Next time you got to go to a family or friend's house and it's 600 to 1,000 miles away, take a jet. See for yourself. Yeah. I mean, it's really pretty easy.
I just remember what I wanted to say here. That is about the flat Earth and about research. Well, what I would love to see when people are debating flat Earth or trying to argue for why they believe the Earth is flat, then I would like to see the same. I don't know if I should call it proof, but the same way of acting like all of us does when we, for example, are looking at Mars and looking at Mars anomalies. We go to a NASA official page, we find a specific picture and saying there is something and that is looking like a pyramid. And then we give up a link to this official picture. That link would be the source to where we can find what we believe is something that is extraordinary. I would love to read about flat Earth if they could provide links to sources that we could go back to, like NASA or real scientists.
Well, that's what I was saying by peer review. I mean, the consensus of real scientists. Now, and I've said this to people. Look, I said I'm not trying to be facetious here. I had my own camera. I was on the tarmac, like I said, in the air. And I just tell people, look, some people claim there's a dome over the firmament. Please show me proof of it. Show me with your own camera. I don't want to be directed to another video or none of that crap. I want to see with your own camera. Show me the flat Earth. I want to see the dome, and I want to see a rocket or a plane slam into it and then explode and then fall back to Earth. And as silly as that sounds, I'm not trying to be facetious, because I even told people, I will back you 1,000,000% if you can show me the proof. Because here's the thing. For me, it's about the truth. And if you can't furnish it, then it's bunkus. You know what I mean? Just say, look, I've got the link. I've got actual true pictures of my own. I'm going to show you this. Okay. And I'm open to it. I don't have any problem with that. Show me the proof. And what was the other thing, too? Oh, the ice on the outer edge of our pizza pan flat Earth that we live on.
Where's the photo? Where's the photos?
Yeah, just show. I swear to God.
How come nobody's brought me a photo?
I'm not trying to be mean about it. I'm asking you to say, look, just furnish the photos. I'd be more than happy to have a look. And I will back you 1,000,000% if it's true.
I've got to say something. I've got to say
follow
something.
The data.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Will. Go ahead, Will.
I was just going to say, follow the data and theory be damned. What we do here is speculate and try and get people's minds stimulated.
Okay, real quick question here, Thomas. What was the exact way the comment was written that we're referring to right now on our page, which Chris was addressing?
Living a false life. Congratulations.
Okay, boom, stop there. Okay, now, here's the problem I have with Flat Earth people. This is my biggest problem. On my pages, I have a lot of people that debate a lot of the stuff that I post. The stuff that I post, a lot of it's very controversial. That's why it's called Handsome Forbidden Knowledge. Mm-hmm. I go back and forth with people who respect me. I may make a post about something. For example, I made a post about life on all the planets in our solar system and all the moons in our today. Some people went on there and said, man, this is hard to believe. Do you have any proof? Now that's somebody that I can talk to and interact with and go back and forth with.
They're open.
A respectable conversation.
Yep.
But when somebody jumps on and goes, "You're living in a dream, get a life," or whatever this guy just said, in my personal opinion, that's disrespectful.
Yeah.
There's got to be a level of respect between human beings, and especially if we're taking both ways. If we're taking the energy and time, if you go on my pages and go on my comment feed, you'll see me talk to people all the time that don't agree or believe in what I'm talking about, but they do not disrespect me. But when somebody jumps on, and this is the problem with a lot of the flat earthers, they jump on, F you, this is that, you're a loser, you're a dummy, you're crazy, it's this, it's that.
You're delusional.
You're delusional. Instead of coming on like this guy here who comes on the comment, and if he would have came on here and says, I hear what you guys are saying, but I still believe that the earth is flat. Then we could have had a very reasonable adult conversation about it.
Billy, I have to follow up because Jesse is writing here. I'm saying that to people who live their life not telling the truth or hiding their discoveries. So maybe Jesse wasn't referring to flat Earth. I'm a little. I have to figure this out.
Was read wrong.
So Jesse, if I misunderstood your comment, then I apologize. Of course we do. Fair should be fair.
You gotta be respectful. This is the biggest problem we have is a lack of respect amongst human beings. It's the biggest problem that we have. I think that no matter what, I don't care who he was really addressing, in my personal opinion, Thomas, you have to find a better way to address people. Like I tell people all the time, when I go and look at the comments on my feeds and see how disgusting and angry and aggressive these people are, and I've been on social media now for many, many years, and Forbidden Knowledge, just go back to Forbidden Knowledge since 2011. I have never gone on anybody's page, never on anybody's page ever, and put up, "You effing dummy, this is crazy, you're delusional, you're a psycho." Not one time have I gone on a YouTube video and done that. Not one time have I gone on a Facebook post and done it. I don't do those kinds of things because I respect the individual that made the post. If I have a question, I'll ask it. If I have a disagreement with something, maybe I might even send them a direct message or a private message. But you'll never see a Billy Carson Forbidden Knowledge derogatory comment on anybody's page in history.
No.
Yeah.
Well said.
You guys hear that?
Yeah.
You guys hear that?
Amen.
That's a challenge. Anybody to go looking through it. Well said, buddy.
Thank you.
$1,000 for anybody who's seen it.
I'm the same way you are, Billy. I'm the same way you are. I mean, if somebody's saying, you know what, I get what you're saying, man. I don't believe it. And can you show me proof of this? And then I'll direct them to my video with when I was on the plane, because you've got the latest one. I think you actually posted that in a couple places, and you can grab the other one too and put that on there. But that's what it is. People are going, like you said, oh, you effing idiot, you're delusional, blah blah blah. Look, I'm just gonna go boom, buy comment. Now, if they want to have a reasonable response, I'll be more than happy to do that. Exactly. But the second they said you're effing this and you've been lied to all your life, okay, I'm just not going to respond kindly to you. That's just not the way it's going to go.
Those are energy feeders.
People who want to,
Yes,
and
that's exactly right.
I have to take this one up again here because I was the one who brought Jesse's comment up, and he's writing, by the way, I'm not with the Flat Earth BS. I was referring to the comment made about the scientists, so my bad. I misunderstood that comment. But
I'm glad you brought it up because we had to get that out in the air.
It did open some vents, and we have all experienced a lot of trolling in our groups and our YouTube channels. Should we bring some of that up? I know you, Billy, you are one of the most harassed people on this planet.
Oh my goodness, I'm on the front lines, man. I'm in the trenches.
Once you start getting, Billy.
See if you can avoid mention any names because we don't want to hang out people. But
no.
Well, here's the thing. I'm glad you said that, Thomas, because here's the thing. As far as mentioning names, guess what? I don't know any names. That's the thing. These people are spending their whole life trying to find out and attack me. They know who I am. I think that's a testament to my success because I have no idea who these people are, other than ABC _so and so. I mean, so these are people who I'm not paying attention to, but they show up. They'll go out of their way to make fake accounts just to come in and comment. And when you ban somebody, the way that Instagram works, for example, I think you can only make 6 or 7 accounts on one device. It does. After that, it won't let you make any more accounts. It knows. So these people have gone out of their way to max out not only their phone or device, they go borrow other people's friends' devices and phones to make fake accounts to come in and make comments. Some of them, of course, are paid trolls. There's no doubt there's a lot of government paid trolls there because some of them aren't interested in getting in finding out the truth or finding out or researching anything. They have never gone to any links.
No, that's the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Private people now are paying people to do it for businesses.
Correct.
It's getting to the point where anything you see online is going to be iffy now. You really got to do your due diligence. You really do.
You know what? You know what's really crazy? I've had people ask this, and I think we discussed this before. Why don't we? And it's a great question. I got to give the Flat Earth as this. They actually say, why don't we have a camera facing forward when a rocket is going from Earth out into space? I think it's a fantastic question. We always see the one going back, facing backwards towards Earth, and then of course you see once the sections of rockets have been expelled, they'll just drop off and so on and so forth. It's a great question. Well, and I always tell them, is it possible that we have stuff out in space that our governments don't want to see? Like back in the 1980s, we had the Star Wars program. Is it possible they don't want us to see what's really out there? And how many times have we had NASA cut feeds when some kind of object comes into view?
Yeah.
See, this is what people have to understand. It may be just as simple as that. How can we never see like the whole Earth? And another great question. But that doesn't mean it's full of lies. It just means they just don't want you to see what's there. If you ever notice, why is we got HD cameras on the ISS, but most of the time it's like low budget crap video. It's like a 480p. You know what I mean? It's absolute crap because you can't. If you get super high def, you're going to see every detail there is to see, and that's not a good thing for them. So, they raise great questions. I mean, there's no doubt.
Technically, they take the crafts are taking pictures of the planet they're going to. Like, let's say when they were going to Jupiter, taking pictures of Jupiter. So they are taking pictures out in front of them as they're going. So when they ask, it's like, well, we saw Pluto. That was out in front of them, and then it by the side of them. So technically, I guess they do kind of set their they're taking some pictures out in front, but I think the back pictures, like they said, you can say one or two things 3 or 4 times in a video, and all of a sudden it becomes truth, and that's just what we face today. And as we move forward, if we keep technology the way it is, I hope the children, I said this earlier, because I had a 4th grade teacher invite me in to come talk to her children about the work I do on Mars. And I said, wouldn't you get fired for that? And she said, no, not really. The kids would be interested in it. They already are interested in it. I show them your website. And I couldn't believe it that, I couldn't believe they were allowed to talk about anything they wanted in public school, but that people will accept that, or at least wouldn't freak out and get fired. So there is hope. Yeah.
No, there's definitely hope there, and it's spreading. I mean, a lot of my stuff is, and when I talk about these people that attack the pages, I mean, if I make a post and I get 7,000 likes, and I have, I'm thinking about it, I'm only getting a couple of hundred comments, and then a couple of hundred comments, I'm probably getting 10% of those are the trolls and the vicious people. So really, in a perspective, and looking at it from a bigger perspective, it's a very small amount of the people that actually are interested in the information that I put out. It's just that they do it very viciously, and it appears, it makes it appear to be that there's a lot more than what it really is. Yeah. And a lot of stuff that I put out has been taught in schools, has been taught by professors, shown to classes in colleges and stuff like that. So that's really great. So we are on the cusp of breaking through. It's just that this, as I was saying earlier today on a live feed, as far as with regards to the flat Earth, a lot of their scientific study is pseudo-scientific stuff that has been made up and literally fabricated, and a lot of edited images. Like, for example, the main image that the flat Earth people use is this plain view of the Earth laying flat as if it was a quarter on a table. Now, a lot of people don't know that the original screenshot of that or clip of that particular piece of the Earth is from less than 1 inch of the globe itself on a full screen image. And there's an interesting couple of people who debunk the flat Earth who have found this clipping and do a great demonstration showing where it fits in on the planet. In other words, if you bend your elbow, okay, and I take a photo of you from 3 feet away, I'm going to see that your elbow's bent. If I go up now and take 1 centimeter of your elbow, which is what this is equivalent to, that centimeter that I take a snapshot of and clip out and lay it flat, it's going to look like there's just a flat piece of a flat pixel. It's going to be flat. There's no bend. I can't distinguish or perceive a bend because I've only taken an extremely small piece of the image of your elbow that's bent. And this is what people don't understand. They've been tricked and manipulated into this thing, and it's almost become a religion to the where they viciously attack, and they don't want to hear anything you have to say otherwise about it. They viciously attack it, and whatever this pseudo-scientific research is out there, all you have to do, flat Earth people, is listen. If you stand at the shoreline and you're 6 feet tall, you're only going to see 3 miles out, okay? 8 inches arc per mile. If you go up into a building, for every meter you go up, you're going to see an additional almost 1 mile out. If you go into a building that's 30 meters tall, you're only going to see 28 miles out or something like that, or wherever it comes to. I may be off a little bit on the math, but I'm pretty close. Okay, so you'll never. I don't care what building you go in, you'll never see the other side of the planet. Why is that? How come if you're, like I said during July 4th and New Year's, if you're in New York, how come the people in New York that were telling me the Earth was flat can't see the fireworks in London? How come? What's stopping them from seeing the? How come the people the other day couldn't see the eruption in France of one of the biggest volcanoes and most active volcanoes? If you're in America, how come you can't see it? Get your telescope out. I got a telescope that can see the rings of Saturn. Get your telescope out. How come you can't see the eruption in France? Yeah, guys, if you take a stick and put 1 stick in the ground in England and 1 stick in the ground in New York, the shadows are going to be different. Why? That's because the Earth is a sphere. I mean, these are basic regular physical things you can use to make this assumption, but what they're coming up with now is a lot of lies about the fake image, and then a lot of the lies are going back into now, because I made a post about how the ancients said the Earth was round, so then the flat Earth people started copying me and saying, completely making up lies that the Egyptians said the Earth was flat and we live in a dome. They took a picture of Neb bent over the Earth and said that the Egyptians were saying that the Earth was a dome. Total lie. Had nothing to do with that whatsoever. No. That whole thing is a depiction of the goddess spreading out over the universe, and then showing the actual star location where the Anunnaki actually came from. Believe it or not, is Orion and the Pleiadian star cluster was the main focal point of the whole thing. It had nothing to do with flat Earth. Then Then they go back and now they found some picture or made a picture, and they're trying to say that the ancient Indians said the Earth. The ancient Indians never said the Earth was flat.
Never claimed that. Nope.
Never claimed it. Not one. But they're taking this like it's the Bible, man. Then they get the newest thing is they have this NASA report that shows NASA did a scientific study. It is from NASA.gov. I looked it up and downloaded it. I don't have the exact link right here, but I'll find it. And it was talking about investigating the Earth to see if it, investigating a rocket. I'm sorry. But here's where it gets tricky. They were investigating this rocket to see how it responded against a flat Earth, but not that the Earth is flat. In other words, it was the aerodynamics of it, and they were inside of a laboratory. So you had no curvature. So they were experimenting with wind effects on this test device, or this test vehicle, I'm sorry. But they had to specify in the test results that this is not predicated on arc. This is predicated in a flat surface because it was in this laboratory. Mm-hmm. But the words are so scientific that these people who have no scientific knowledge whatsoever took that. Now they've run with it, and it's posted
but they twisted it
online.
Yeah, they twisted it, and then they made it their own. Yeah, kind of like what religion's done.
Exactly.
Yeah. And they've done that same thing, and then they run with it.
Yep. They ran with it.
It's been proven a lot. The burden of proof is on them. So I mean, they're going to have to get me to sign up, because I've gone through and I looked through all the videos, and there are some very good, well-made ones out there where people can get at your mind and tug. At 3 a.m. because you can't sleep, you're looking at videos, you've been doing this. You can get sucked into it. Like I said, I've looked through it. I took it. I looked at it with that open mind. I try and look at everything with an open mind. Who knows what my reality is, what's truth and what's not. Like you said, everybody's got their own reality. But,
well, you made a great point, Will. So you got these people that are watching these people that appear to put some serious research into these videos, and people going, look at the work he's done. Clearly, it must be the truth. No, it's not. It's like that other guy, Michael. He had Michael Flockin, I think his name is. If you think what you hear from NASA is what is really going on, then you need to do some research. Now, here's the thing. Do I think NASA lies? Yes, absolutely. I mean, this is the reason why I have my channel. I mean, this is the reason why everybody does the research we're doing, because you've got to read between the lines. A lot of it can be a smokescreen. You know what I mean? And then what's really going on behind the scenes is this. That's what we're after. So, yes. Do we agree with you that NASA lies? Absolutely. You know what I mean? We couldn't agree with you more. But that doesn't mean everything they say is a lie. You got to read between the lines. You got to read between the BS.
Let's talk about images one more time before we get off flat Earth. I hate talking about the flat Earth at the end here. And I want everybody
but
here
it's a subject that needs to be addressed.
And I want everybody to know that's watching this or listening to this, that all the UFA members, and just like all the other teams I've worked on, not everybody believes the same thing. We have our own in things where we have our own in channel where we battle back and forth with each other because we're trying to figure it out. And that's great. We found the way to do it where we can help each other and think a little bit further, think backwards, think left, think right, think up. Not
with respect.
With respect.
And I've got on the flat Earth thing, I've got to say one thing, right? A lot of people say about flat the salt deserts and they put mirrors and stuff like this. No one ever takes into consideration your land level. What's your sea level? And Earth rises from Pacific. You can be in one space. Look at somewhere 50 miles away and put a candle, and it will level out because that is higher. I just had to put that in because a lot of people.
I was thinking about that earlier.
Well, I have the solution to the whole problem, because, as I stated earlier on a couple of previous feeds on my own pages, I'm going to be doing an atmospheric balloon. I'm going to raise the money to do an atmospheric balloon. I'm going to recruit the top flat Earth people, the ones that aren't scared. They're going to be involved in it. They're going to be involved in the purchasing of the camera equipment. They're going to be, everything is going to be recorded. They're going to be involved in the testing of the camera equipment to make sure that there's no eggshell, what do you call it, curved lenses. That's right.
Yeah.
So they're going to be involved in the whole process. They're going to be involved in attaching it to the atmospheric balloon. They're going to inspect the atmospheric balloon. and they're going to be involved in the process of helping it launch and go up, and they're going to be involved